X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time. Can you see it? All the ones who drag my name every single day. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? They keep saying you don't have what it takes to carve out your own name underneath the shadows of gods. And I keep waiting for the day disbelievers say I flew way too close to the sun. I wait, but it never really comes. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. Why do they just stand there against when they fall from the battles I have overcome? You feel it, feel the cope and the seething tone that they make while I stand up, man among gods. And I keep thinking with my mill, shooting ropes in my cold that faces towards the sun. They hate, but I'm sitting comfy with their mom. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled mind. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. It's you and me, your mom, it's me. I'll take another hit from my name. You'll see now, watch me right now, punch your face now. Show you how.
I hate how quiet the video starts as. Alright. No. Alright.
Mike Tyson's gonna beat Jake Paul in the fight.
Why do you think that?
Have you not seen Mike Tyson's fighting history? He's a savage. He bit someone's ear off. Jake doesn't stand a chance.
I have seen Mike Tyson's fighting videos, but Jake Paul is 27 years old and Mike Tyson is 57.
But we're talking about Iron Mike here. I just want Jake Paul to lose! I just know Mike Tyson's gonna win.
I know you want him to win, but Mike Tyson hasn't fought in like 20 years, and Jake Paul's fought many fights in the past 3.
I know Mike Tyson just came back out of retirement, but he has muscle memory. All Jake Paul remembers is YouTube editing.
I understand muscle memory, but this is 20 years of not fighting versus a young, fresh fighter.
YouTuber versus boxing legend. Yeah, but Jake's going to win. That's why your left eye is bigger than your right.
I know you want him to live off the legend name alone, but understand Mike Tyson's getting paid $20 million for this fight. I don't think it matters.
You don't think a boxing win matters to Mike Tyson? He doesn't care about the money!
I understand that, but taking a loss for $20 million is a lot less of a blow to the heart when you're 57, retired.
So you're saying Mike Tyson's going to purposely throw so that Jake Paul can win? Because that's the only way I can see him win!
I'm not saying he's going to throw. I'm saying Jake's going to throw him around. Mike Tyson's going to give him a fight.
But what about Jake Paul throwing?
Jake Paul's going to win.
Have the win. You think Jake Paul wouldn't take the dive for Mike Tyson just so they can both get money?
Because if Jake Paul doesn't win, he has to live with the fact that he lost to a 57-year-old man who hasn't fought in 20 years.
But it's Mike Tyson! If Mike loses, he threw it on purpose.
I don't think anybody's throwing. I think this is a serious match.
Where can I get that shit?
I guess we'll see what happens, but I think Jake Paul has a pretty strong chance.
So basically, you're stupid! How about we fight instead? Just like I beat you, Mike Tyson's gonna beat Jake Paul. Just wait.
What are you doing?
Dude, I love this guy's videos because it feels like me talking to chat. It has the energy of the vibe that I have while dealing with chat. Just the people interjecting all at once before he finishes the statement in response to the previous thing. Oh my god, it's so... This is going to be a little different than the stuff we've been talking about a lot lately due to the election results, but I feel we could use a little bit of a palate cleanser right now, away from the awfulness of politics, and not to mention talking about mainstream stuff that everyone else is talking about is how the right blew up and got into everybody's feeds. So hey, the left can't be afraid to talk about these things too. You see, MrBeast used to be the king of YouTube, and in a way he still is. There's not a lot of accountability for content creators, and cancel culture, as it turns out, was never really real unless you were the perfect target for it. Now, MrBeast has long since lost the respect of the YouTube community. When it comes to most people that actively engage with the YouTube content space and the landscape, the people in it, the community, or even the content creators themselves, none of them like MrBeast anymore. He has been continuously exposed for quite a few bad things. And one of the things that some smaller creators have called him out for recently, besides the whole, hiring pedos thing and the faking videos and the not paying people out thing, MrBeast has gotten shit from a few creators over helping or running crypto scams. And he's been doing this for a long time, way before people started calling him out. And for some reason, as I said before, because cancel culture isn't real unless you're a perfect target, no one was calling him out for it. Hell, most of the things he ended up getting canceled for were already public until he got called out for them. Everybody could have just found them. They were just sitting out there, waiting for someone to make a big deal out of it. MrBeast is still popular enough because most of his fans are children. He won't fail anytime soon. That is a shame. That is a shame, and YouTube will certainly not do anything about this creator, regardless of how many people he scams or lies to or misrepresents or clickbaits or whatever. It's the same deal as KSI and Logan Paul and Jake Paul, who have been some of the douchiest individuals ever that have infiltrated YouTube a decade ago by now, almost a decade ago, have ruined it since. And honestly, Logan Paul, the Paul brothers, KSI, who else? MrBeast, all these big, clouded up YouTubers have done irreparable damage, not only to our culture, because our culture is so influenced by YouTube, but also to the platform itself. YouTube, it's such a shame that YouTube may never go back to what it was in the early 2010s, you know? I hope and plead every day that, it cycles back around and, one day gaming Let's Plays are the meta again or something. But I don't think we're ever going back to that. And it makes me so sad that the culture and platform of YouTube have moved away and towards this, slop, clickbait, clout-chasing bullshit. But anyway, getting that aside, MrBeast is finally being investigated by the legend Coffeezilla for his crypto scamming allegations. Now, this video already has, 4.5 million views in a day. Good lord, Coffeezilla, you're cooking right now. Hot damn, I'm gonna drop a like on the video. Make sure it helps to pop off. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and check out this video. I am quite excited to watch it. I haven't even seen a second of it myself. I'm just excited to see it. I'm excited to finally watch this thing, so let's just hop right on in. Let's see what all this situation is about. Is MrBeast truly a crypto scammer? The answer is, in my opinion, undoubtedly yes. I think him working with Logan Paul at all was a massive red flag.
I investigated MrBeast, who was recently accused of making $23 million with insider trading and scams. I wanted to know the full story, so I reached out to everyone, from researchers to crypto projects, even to MrBeast himself. And let me say, the story is more complicated than you think. I want to be clear. What MrBeast did, what his team did, is shady. But what we care about is, did he cross that bright red line from shady to illegal scam? And contrary to what Twitter says, I don't think that's an easy answer. Instead, I think the answer will depend on you.
Interesting.
If you love MrBeast, there will be an explanation at every turn and a scapegoat. But if you hate MrBeast, what I'm about to show you will seem unethical and like a clear abuse of fame.
Truest statement ever. That is literally how everybody operates on the internet. Yep. It has to be something like really bad and personally over the line, and like feeling like a betrayal for a lot of audiences to drop their fave. Otherwise, they'll just come up with excuses. I've encountered that when I criticize other creators so much.
For money. So already this story is difficult, but I want to make you aware of two more things which matter. First, I have gone to MrBeast's team to try to fact check this story extensively, and they declined to fact check or comment on my many questions. Instead, they gave me a statement which we will get to. Secondly, I have a bit of history with MrBeast. I interviewed and spoke positively about him in the past, but also his new co-founder is...
To be fair, everyone's spoken positively of MrBeast in the past. If you were an OG MrBeast hater, then you are a brave person, okay? You were getting shit for years, called insane for daring to criticize the, like, Jesus Christ figure of YouTube. You would be absolutely dogpiled for any criticism of MrBeast for so long. It wasn't until MrBeast had a trans friend that it became acceptable to criticize him, and that is when the cancellation happened. Before that, though, he was literally untouchable.
Suing me, and his other co-founder threatened to sue me. So you can make of that what you will. As always, I just want to let you know where I'm coming from, and I've tried to get all sides of the story. We're going to start with the major allegations against MrBeast and build on those. They come from two sources. Firstly, an investigation by Soma XBT, which claims MrBeast made $10 million by backing low-cap crypto tokens, which are down 90%. And the second...
Yeah, Cavernacle's a tanky, and he's like, you know, pro-China and Russia and everything, but I will say... vindication must feel good for him after all those anti-MrBeast videos that got dogpiled for so long. He must feel very happy for those to finally not age like wine, or age like milk, as people would say.
Second investigation comes from a group of 5 people who investigated MrBeast and found $23 million in profits from, quote, scams, shady deals, and his network. Now, there are a lot of crypto projects they go over, and I want to be clear. Some of these allegations, I agree, are bad. Others, I think, are actually worse than have been reported, and still other allegations I simply disagree with them on. So we're going to start with what I don't agree with.
So,
according to the report...
Here's the thing I don't know about this whole situation. I wasn't aware that there was some big drama happening on Twitter. If you follow me, then you know I don't really use Twitter anymore. I've kind of migrated over to Blue Sky. And even there, I don't post super often. But if you want to follow me there, I highly recommend it. I post there. I didn't know there was a big thing going on. I thought this was referring to MrBeast working with Logan Paul and all of Logan Paul's crypto scams. Frankly, I didn't even know MrBeast was accused of running his own crypto scam. I thought the issue was like the collaborative deal. Is it? KSI was deeply involved in promoting PMON. It's highly likely MrBeast made an investment from that insider information of KSI's promotion deal with PMON. Okay, so possible inside trading going on. Oof.
Report Polychain Monsters, or PMON, is a project which KSI promoted heavily. MrBeast did not. But MrBeast did get in the presale and make a lot of money. And thus, the conclusion is made, it's highly likely MrBeast made an investment from that insider information of KSI's promotional deal. But there's simply no evidence provided of this. I have the same thoughts about JigStack, another coin which KSI promoted. And the conclusion is, though...
I don't know why, but that name just... It's hilarious to me. JigStack. I hate crypto bros. All the names they give things are just they're so quirky in Reddit, guys. Aren't they so? Reddit's gonna love them. Reddit's gonna love this, guys. Oh, aren't I quirky? Oh, crypto.
Oh, MrBeast did not
Dogecoin to the moon, Elon Musk.
Officially follow JigStack. In his network, KSI was involved in promoting JigStack. From this information, MrBeast invested and made a large return. Here, again, there isn't concrete proof. Now, I asked the team who wrote this piece, and the lead author, Casper Vandeluk, told me, quote, having known MrBeast having a very strong connection with KSI, it's basically highly probable he was vested as a result of KSI. No concrete evidence, just going off probabilities. But I'm going to say I don't agree with that, and I'm going to toss those probabilities aside. I think they reach too far. Instead, I'm going to stick with what we can prove happened. Luckily, the biggest claims in this report, the biggest moneymakers, are much better supported by evidence. Starting with Super. This is the project MrBeast is alleged to have made the most amount of money on, over $10 million based on a presale of $100,000. As for evidence, we have leaked screenshots showing MrBeast telling Super's founder that he can do $100K. Then we have a wallet that both investigations traced to MrBeast, sending $100K to the presale wallet. And then we have the same wallets getting millions of these super tokens in a period of unlocks, which were almost all sold aggressively. Now, why is this bad? Well, MrBeast is obviously hugely influential, and he publicly associated himself with the project twice. Once on March 3rd.
Yeah, so this is another situation where this is happening constantly. This is probably the most common form of crypto scam there is, and I've talked about it before, specifically when we covered Coffeezilla's video about that Trump cryptocurrency scam. What will happen is a crypto company, a company that wants to start up a new coin, will reach out to a public figure, say a YouTuber, for instance, and they will name a coin after them or something, or not even do that, just make a new coin, and then offer a deal with the YouTuber that they'll get, on the ground floor, right up front, right then and there, a certain amount of the coin, and maybe even on top of that, a payment, and then they'll be paid that to promote the coin, which they obviously have a strong interest in doing incessantly, because if the coin goes up in value, then they can sell it later and they end up getting more money back, actual money, which is what they want. And so Elon Musk was known to do this for a while, and I genuinely wonder if Elon made billions we don't know about off of crypto, because he's a massive market manipulator. What Elon does with cryptocurrencies is a crime to do with stocks. What he does is he buys a bunch of, say, Dogecoin, and then he starts tweeting Dogecoin to the moon, Dogecoin to the moon, and all of his sycophantic followers buy out Dogecoin, and then he sells. You can tell it's him selling because Dogecoin experiences massive, out-of-nowhere drops. One person sold at, $1 billion worth of Dogecoin all at once. Every time it has a big spike upwards, and it goes back down to an even level that all the hodlers keep it at. But it's just illegal. It's just illegal, and I wonder how much money Elon was able to scam people out of, basically, using that. And remember, ironically, it was Andrew Tate who said it best. For anyone to win in crypto, for any one person to win in crypto, a lot of people have to lose big time.
3rd, 2021, he responded to a tweet with eyeball emojis, and then he interacted a second time on May 12th, 2021. This is much worse. The founder, Elio Trades, had tweeted, "There's a gym sitting there on the market at eye-watering prices set to explode during the DeFi Summer 2.0. MrBeast's response, Super? But what he doesn't say is that he'd already purchased a huge stake in Super at this point, and on the day that he's tweeting, he was selling tokens.
Yeah, so this is very much just the same shit Elon does. God, MrBeast, I called this out as a cringy tendency of MrBeast, and I got shit for it back when it was unacceptable to criticize him, but people who were around for it probably saw it. I never liked how much of a dick rider for Elon Musk MrBeast is, and it always felt like MrBeast wanted to be like Elon Musk, and it felt like Elon Musk had to have been he has to be just a massive Musk fanboy. And he toned it back as Elon got more crazy right-wing pro-Trump. But man, the more we learn about this guy, the more like Elon we find out he is, including the stuff that Elon doesn't want people to know about.
Allegedly. Not only that, he had been selling tokens and continued to sell tokens. In the 72 hours after the May 12th tweet, MrBeast sold about $200,000 worth of these tokens. And remember the context. He's responding to the founder of the coin discussing a gym at eye-watering prices that's going to explode during the summer. And MrBeast's response is the coin he's selling. So publicly, it's signaling, hey, Super is this undervalued coin, and privately, MrBeast allegedly sold. Now, I ran these wallets by MrBeast, as well as the accusation, but I didn't get a reply. Instead, I got a heavily lawyered statement from a spokesman, who I'm going to warn you is about to complicate things. Quote, "These investments were made and managed in consultation with industry experts to ensure full compliance with all appropriate rules and regulations. The wallet is not owned or managed by Jimmy, but rather a fund led by respected and sophisticated managers. The fund closely evaluated and scrutinized hundreds and hundreds of opportunities, which resulted in several investments. Some have been more successful, others less, and others still works in progress. The fund's investment strategies apply the same rigorous standards as many other experienced investors in the field." Now,
guys, my brother was on my Xbox. That's why my KD got dropped below 1, bro. My brother, got on my Xbox, and he started playing a few matches of deathmatch, and he sucked shit and just tanked my KD. I swear. But like yesterday, my KD was 1.2. I swear it was my brother. My brother was on my computer, dude. I swear. Is that basically the response that that MrBeast had? Like, yo, no, don't worry about it. That was my brother on my phone. Yeah, I was just fucking around. Are you aware? Jesus Christ. Dude, Shadow Raven Studios alt in YouTube chat, guys. If you looked fast enough, you might have spotted him.
I have a lot of questions, but the big thing is Jimmy denies doing any of the trading or managing the trading and blames it on a fund. So I asked some obvious follow-up questions. What is the name of this fund? Who are the industry experts? And what rules and regulations were followed that allowed you to tweet about a coin while your fund is selling? I didn't get a response. It's worth mentioning the spokesman is Matthew Hiltzik, a well-known crisis management consultant. Thankfully, online, there still are a number of clues we can.
Yeah, I know that there's a higher bar that Coffeezilla with his investigations has to meet, and he did. To be fair, I'm highly biased against MrBeast, so I'm likely to see these things in the worst possible light, as he even mentioned, and I agreed. But let's be real here. When you are clearly market manipulating a crypto that you are allegedly, and there is evidence for the allegation, selling behind the scenes on the same days that you're pumping with your influence, and on top of that, you hire a crisis PR firm manager to deal with the public response to any allegations of this, man, you are guilty, dude. I'm sorry. There is no way to look more guilty than to scream that you are. Like, Jesus, dude.
Follow to try to find the right person for this fund. The reason most people link MrBeast to this wallet we've been tracking is mostly based on a tweet by MrBeast saying he bought a specific CryptoPunk, which belonged to an account which goes by Wu-Tang Clan. People assumed, understandably, that this was MrBeast's wallet. But what is lesser known is that another account has also tweeted about CryptoPunks and has the same ties back to Wu-Tang Clan. A guy named Jason Williams. He's followed by MrBeast on Twitter, and he's the author of a book on Bitcoin, so he's a crypto guy. And I found Jason tweeting about another CryptoPunk saying,
okay, so something that I heard was that MrBeast is like super deep in the crypto sphere. I don't know how that shit works behind the scenes, but the vibe I've gotten of it is that it's super goddamn shady. Like, there's a lot of weird connections and dark, like, handshakes behind the scenes and stuff. Like, just weird stuff happening. And people whose names you've never heard of that are oddly billionaires for, I'm sure, reasons that are completely legally and morally fine, that just crop up out of nowhere. It's just, there's so much shadiness around this entire crypto space. Like, I genuinely do not the more I learn about it, the more it's like, oh yeah, this is just completely a market for scammers. Like, crypto exists as a way for making like, you know, obviously having a transaction take place between two people if they don't want to use, like, their different countries' currencies or whatever. A lot of criminals use it because they can exchange it easily for real money and not have that money be traced in any way, kind of deal. I know that, like, drug dealers like to use crypto, or at least they did, or something. That was what it was supposed to be for, right? Like, untraceable transactions of like buying things and whatnot. But man, ever since the inception of it, it's been shady, and it's only gotten shadier. I genuinely just raise an eyebrow at anybody who's deep into the crypto scene. It's so shady.
I hope you enjoy your new home, sold for 100 ETH. That sale he's talking about links back to the same address MrBeast does, Wu-Tang Clan. On YouTube, there's even more clues. Jason can be seen surfing wearing a Wu-Tang Clan shirt, and his brand name, Going Parabolic, happens to be owned by the same MrBeast wallet, goingparabolic.eth. So there's very good evidence that Jason Williams was also involved in this same wallet, which means that it might be true that MrBeast wasn't the guy buying or selling, which would be good for MrBeast and bad for these investigations. But just when I thought MrBeast might have...
But he's still profiting from and technically has access to the wallet of an account that is buying and selling crypto as he promotes it, and he's profiting from it, presumably, if he owns or has any possession of the wallet.
No say in what this wallet did. I saw this podcast with Logan Paul.
Also, why is the biggest YouTuber, period, endorsing crypto scams or cryptocurrencies in general? Why is this big kids content YouTuber endorsing crypto? on Twitter. That alone was already like a massive red flag. Granted, he was doing it in replies to posts, and those don't tend to get seen as much, but damn.
Where Jimmy discusses CryptoPunks once again, and things get complicated.
So me and Logan both bought punks. You guys have probably seen this Twitter.
Okay, I've seen this clip. This clip right here is really good. It's a great insight into what I'm talking about when I say there's like this weird spider web of connections in the crypto scammer slash investor slash influencer space. It's so weird.
That he bought a bunch of CryptoPunks at the same time, right?
Yep.
Gary pulled us in that call.
After segments, I read.
Have you ever told that story?
No.
Gary V. It's like 11 p.m. just out of nowhere.
Yeah,
just
who's
calls
Gary
me
V?
And he's like, "Yo, I got like 30 people to call. Hop in." I'm like, I don't care. He's like, "It'll be the best decision of your life. Just get in." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And so I just joined the call, and I just see like Logan, and I don't even know these other people. I don't want to put them on blast.
Every heavy hitter you can imagine who's worth $1 billion was on this one call, and Gary V is in the little corner, the little square. He's going, CryptoPunks. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be the next Facebook. Where all of us were like, okay,
Everyone's
Gary.
judging. I'm texting Logan.
He's
I'm like,
is
Gary lost
this
his mind.
legit? Bro, all of us were like, yo, Gary's nuts. Yo, Gary was right again.
This clip, ever existing, should have been the nail in the coffin of MrBeast's career. I don't know how, as a platform, we have allowed these douchebags. Like, it's very much like with the right's domination of the internet space, where we have policed, as a community, we have policed the internet so badly that these people, the worst people to come out of having prominence on the internet, not only are they popular and successful, but they are the most popular and the most successful. How the fuck do we continue to allow this? Like, this has to stop, dude. We have to start, like, actually... I don't know, YouTube needs to do something. The community needs to start, like, nothinging these creators, like, just unsubbing and ignoring them entirely. No making videos on them to drive up their engagement and attention towards them. No more giving air to their controversies, maybe. I don't know what could do it. I don't know how you choke out the relevance of these douchebags who do nothing, but it's mostly kids in their audience too, so you can't reach them and explain to them why they're supporting a douchebag. They don't care. They're just watching the slop that the YouTube algorithm is shoving down their throats.
I bought a bunch.
Wait.
Yeah, I bought quite a few.
How many?
I don't want to say it, but
Please.
I bought multiple ones. Yeah.
Well, bro, are you in double digits, Punks?
Just shy.
Huh. Well, this clip is very interesting because Jimmy said he made the decision to get CryptoPunks based on a call with Gary V. But those punks are owned by the wallet we just said was controlled by Jason. So it appears sometimes MrBeast is telling Jason what to buy for this fund. MrBeast then later talks about selling these CryptoPunks and rolling the money into a new project. And once again, it sounds like he's in charge.
Well, I've already sold quite a few of them, so I don't.
What?
Dude,
he's on to the next thing.
I bought a bunch of. So then I rolled the money into VFriends because.
Remember, when you want to brag about how good you are at making money off of crypto, it's all you, but when it turns out something that you bragged about doing is illegal, it's, oh, it was someone else, I don't even manage the wallet, yeah, it's not even me, I barely have anything to do with it, I'm barely affiliated, it's not even mine,
Gary, same thing, called me, he's like, VFriends, I was like, I don't know, but last time I made money, sure.
I'll be honest, these clips to me make it difficult to assume MrBeast had no idea what's going on. He talks about CryptoPunks and VFriends like personal investments. And on Twitter, he says that not only he bought CryptoPunks, he also tweets about loading up on VFriends. But again, I have to say, it is also abundantly clear Jason Williams was involved. He says, hey Gary, thanks for the VFriends gift code. It was a gift from Gary to MrBeast. I'm very thankful for it. He didn't have to send anything. So once again, Jason Williams appears to be involved and have something to do with the trading or management of MrBeast's crypto wallet, but we know MrBeast made some of the decisions. So of course, I asked MrBeast to explain himself if he had any say over the trading, but once again, there's no response. So now I want to turn back to Super. We know from leaked DMs that MrBeast and not Jason set up this pre-sale, and we know...
Man, I really do think that in the future, it needs to be heavily encouraged that no YouTuber ever gets dick ridden as hard as MrBeast. I think dick riding content creators or just like... like everyone does it, and I feel like it needs to stop. Everyone's got like a group of creators they dick ride for. Listen, if they're retired and they don't exist anymore and their YouTube channel is like an archive and they're just like an old YouTuber you go back to and you love them and they never had a big controversy, sure. Dick ride them till the sun comes down or comes up and goes down again. Dick ride them all day and night. But if they're a YouTuber that's like a massive person with a platform, don't do this. Don't allow them to build a cult of personality like this. Don't let anybody do this ever again. It is just not the kind of thing that the internet needs any more of. It's only making this place worse. What if we dick ride you? Only if you are telling me that I am the best streamer and you are also liking and commenting and also donating. Then you can dick ride me. But besides that, be reasonable. You know, think critically. If you think I'm wrong about something, I don't know, tell me what you think I'm wrong about, and I'll argue with you. And if you're really stupid in what you're wrong, or when you think I'm wrong about, then I might ban you. But more likely than not, I'll just call you out for being wrong. Or maybe you'll correct me, and I'll be like, oh, okay.
Oh, that MrBeast made the tweet. So now we have to guess. Here's what we know. We know MrBeast set up the pre-sale according to leaked screenshots. We know MrBeast made the tweet. But we don't know whether it was Jason doing the trading of Super, or if he was doing the trading, did MrBeast know about it? Did Jason know?
Dude, I stayed up so late last night playing Valorant with my friends, and now my eyes are all watering and like tired. Oh, don't worry, I'm getting a monster soon. I'll be okay.
About the tweet. These are the questions that ultimately matter. And yes, I reached out to Jason Williams for a comment. He didn't reply. I did, however, get a hold of Elio Trades, who is the founder of Super, and he insisted that MrBeast's tweet was not a part of a deal for promotion. But you should know, he also mentions how upset—
Oh, it doesn't matter if it's part of a deal for promotion. It's market manipulation. That's what it is. It's just not considered a crime when it's crypto. But if he was doing this with stocks, it would be.
He was with how pre-sale investors sold their tokens, saying most of them sold, including MrBeast. So those are the facts. MrBeast gets involved in a pre-sale, for some reason tweets at this project twice, one time on the day his fund is selling tokens, where he seems to imply that they're undervalued. In total, he's alleged to have made $11 million with this deal, according to the report. So yeah, that's really bad. Now we're going to turn to another allegation, which is about EARN, or Ethernity Chain. There are some facts which are the same. There are others that are different. For example, instead of MrBeast setting up the deal directly, the team at EARN claims they never spoke to MrBeast. Quote, "We were speaking to his fund manager. And when I asked about these wallets selling allegedly over $4 million in tokens, they say, quote, MrBeast's fund was an early investor in our pre-sale. He had the same unlock schedule as everyone else. Were we happy with the way he sold? Definitely not. But legally, there was nothing we could have done." And then, just like with Super, they claim they didn't ask for a promotion of the project, but that MrBeast decided to comment once himself.
Dude, I love how, okay, so obviously, I don't think there was ever a promotion. I don't think this is a situation where MrBeast was paid to promote the crypto, like is typically common with content creators and, you know, big influencers when they get a crypto sponsor or whatever. I think this is just market manipulation, and even the company that runs the crypto came out and said, yeah, the timing of his sale of his coin was definitely... yeah, but, you know, there's nothing we could do about it legally. It's like, dude, when the response to how he sold the coin is, there was nothing we could do about it legally, I don't think that implies that what he did was good. I think it implies they couldn't do anything about it legally, but the fact they brought that up in the first place implies something else, in my opinion.
Anyways, on March 9th, 2021, MrBeast responds to Ethernity Chain saying, "This one will be hype." It's worth noting, once again, about 24 hours before saying this fund wallet purchased over $100,000 of EARN tokens in addition to the presale. Now, what is different about Super is that MrBeast's name was put publicly on the Ethernity Chain website. On their investors and partners page, you might be asking, well, which is it? Is he an investor or a partner? And the answer is both. He got into the presale, and the EARN team also claims that he partnered with them for an NFT drop. Supposedly, it was a charity drop and a normal NFT drop. Now, the charity drop specifically did happen in association with one of MrBeast's projects, Team Seas, saying, quote, "All proceeds will go towards cleaning up the seas around the world."
Dude, this shit pisses me off so much. Back when my channel was, like, blowing up, and I had a ton of people watching streams, I was finally at a place where I could afford to do my first charity stream. And at the time, the Team C's charity that MrBeast was doing was like the biggest charity around. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was down for it. And everyone agreed I should help raise money for the Team C's charity, because there's like a little thing you can click and it sends like the donos from your stream to there, and it confirms it with like a little thing, and I posted on Twitter, and I felt so nice. Like we raised like $4,700 for Team C's, and I felt great about it. Now looking back at it, I'm like, did Team C's do anything? Were we fucking scammed by MrBeast on that? Did the largest content creator on the entire platform promote a scam charity? And not only the largest content creator, but every other content creator on the platform who chose to trust MrBeast and that he would like know his shit and wouldn't promote something that, upon everyone else promoting, would get everybody into shit, basically, if it came out it was fucked. I really do wonder about that, because if it was true, I feel like there would be a vested interest by a lot of YouTubers to cover it up, because so many of them promoted Team C's and Team Trees.
World. This was early November 2021. Then the official Team C's account posted on November 3rd, 2021, quote, "What an awesome crypto collaboration in support of the team." Then the CEO of Ethernity Chain, Nick Rose, confirms in Telegram that the drop is supported by MrBeast, saying EARN and ETH tokens will be accepted for the charity auction, which was slated to last 2 months. Now, the reason I'm sharing all of this is because 1 month into this 2-month charity auction on November 30th, 2021, the Rocket Fund or Beast Fund or whatever you want to call it starts selling huge amounts of this EARN token. Allegedly, they sold.
They did end up removing 34 million tons of garbage from the ocean. Okay, that makes me feel better. That's like a drop in the bucket, but at least they did something and it wasn't just a scam, right?
Over $2 million, while the charity itself was still going on. Now, I know that sounds horrible. It looks horrible. It is horrible. Although I have to tell you, personally, I don't think this was a master plan to pump a coin with a charity auction. If it was the plan, it was a bad one because the NFT auction was ultimately a flop. But do I also think it doesn't matter, because regardless of your intention, selling tokens within a month of your 2-month charity auction is wrong, stupid, and unethical? Yes, I think that as well. Because in case you forgot, MrBeast is the charity guy whose name is on the website. It isn't a fund. It isn't a crypto rocket fund. It's MrBeast's branding. I even asked.
And it's MrBeast's trust, MrBeast's credibility that was lended to the charity as well, of which he had the most back then, you must understand.
The EARN team about this, saying, quote, "Why did y'all list MrBeast instead of Rocket Fund in your partners investors? Was that discussed?" They say, quote, "We listed him, MrBeast, as a partner, and quote, yes, they accepted that." So according to the EARN team, MrBeast knew or should have known that his name was on the line for this investment and partnership. And yet this fund, his fund, whatever you want to call it, sold tokens 1 month after starting a 2-month NFT auction for charity. To be fair again, though, it's hard to oversell how bad this NFT auction did. I have found only one NFT that appears to have sold here, but the bids were made in the EARN token, which the fund was selling, and the actual sale of the NFT.
So no one bought any of the NFTs they were using Team C's to shill. All right. Well, that's nice at least. God, using your charity Twitter account to shill for a crypto or an NFT? How did people not realize this? Team C's was like the most looked at charity in the world at the time.
Didn't happen until after the fund sold in November 30th. The transfer happened in December 23rd. So of course, I went to MrBeast directly to answer this and see if there was some more context they could provide. There was no response other than the statement we've already read from MrBeast that he did not control the trading. Although again, that isn't a really satisfying answer, because we've established MrBeast would sometimes direct what to buy and sell to this fund, like CryptoPunks. Personally, like I said, I don't think this...
Yeah, the excuse is the most like, you cannot prove what I am culpable for and what I am response ever. It's like, well, I formulated a response where there's no possibility of gathering evidence in, for or against the claim that you have against me. Like, okay.
This was a pre-planned scheme.
Convenient.
But regardless of intentions, if you're the charity guy, you support a charity, it flops while your fund makes millions of dollars in profits because it's selling the same EARN token people could bid on the charity with, that just is awful. And you should feel awful about it. Look, now I want to move on from that to talking about our final token, XCAD. This is a token you may remember from our investigation into MrBeast's business partner, KSI. But unlike KSI, MrBeast was
Remember, Logan Paul, KSI, and Jake Paul are all scamming pieces of shit. MrBeast is best buddies with them. Why should we assume he's any different, especially after everything we know about him now and everything we know about them as well? And everything MrBeast definitely knows about them and still chooses to collaborate with them.
not promoting it a lot on Twitter. In fact, the only reason we know MrBeast was in the presale is that there were several articles about it bragging about that fact. Once again, MrBeast's name was used to promote this instead of the fund itself. And internally to investors, I have to say, this built up a lot of excitement, not just because MrBeast is a huge name, but because XCAD had what's called creator tokens. So the idea to some investors is that, well, if they're
these are the promotional ones. These are the ones where they reach out to creators and they're like, oh, we made Xanderhall token, promote Xanderhall token. That's never happened, as far as I know. Maybe there is a Xanderhall token, but that is like how they do this. They'll make like a token, name it after a YouTuber, reach out to the YouTuber, try to get them to endorse it. Or buy some even, and say publicly they bought it. That's all it takes for the coin to explode in value. And then the people who made it, who obviously own a bunch of it, on the ground floor at its lowest price, end up selling when it hits its peak.
investing, MrBeast and KSI, what if they were ever to launch creator tokens? That would be massive. And I bring this up because some people might ask, like, what do these affiliations, how do they impact people buying these projects? And the answer from what I've seen is they actually do impact it quite a lot because people are anticipating like further involvement, and also the idea is like they must not be investing unless they're long-term holders. You can see this in the Telegram chat. It became so common that in the XCAD community, one of the admins says, here we go again, another community member asking if there's any possibility of a MrBeast KSI token. And meanwhile, by the way, as that's happening, as the investors are hoping for these creator tokens and that they're imminent, behind the scenes, something entirely different had been happening. Like with Super and Earn, MrBeast's fund sold a lot of their XCAD early in 2021, rather than holding their tokens. And this was surprising to even the founder of XCAD himself, Oliver Bell, who said they told him they were going to do the opposite. He tells me, quote, hey, so MrBeast reached out to me during our pre-sale.
Yep. They did something shady, and that's why the company said in their statement to Coffeezilla that there was nothing they could do about it legally. You would never say there's nothing we could do about the way he sold legally if the way he sold was fine and there was nothing wrong with it. I guess he had taken an agreement where he agreed to sell a certain amount of value or a certain amount of the coin for a certain amount of time, and he sold once it hit its perceived peak regardless, and broke the deal. But it wasn't legally binding, clearly.
Raised. A group was set up with his team, and we had a call with his team, and they said they liked the concept. There was no strings attached to the investment. They did, however, want a lot bigger ticket than what I offered them, which I'm glad I did not fulfill. We discussed.
Okay, seriously, what the fuck is the point of crypto? Is it just a big example of the greater fool theory? Okay, let me break this down for you. I'm going to give you the best explanation of crypto that has ever been given in the history of humanity, all right? Crypto is literally just imaginary currency, all right? But it's imaginary currency that exists in the same way that like an item in a video game exists, like a really rare item you might have in an MMO, where sure it's just ones and zeros and it doesn't actually exist, but it does at the same time, and that it is considered to have value of some sort, and it is also backed up by some kind of institution. Generally, some entity will start a coin, and when they start the coin, they set a certain amount of it to exist, or a market cap. And depending on how much of it has been bought, or what percentage of the coin has been bought, you get to the point where it continues to grow in value. I believe more coin can be added, they can expand. It's all fake bullshit, just to be very clear with you. This is all speculative, just like people evaluating things at a certain amount. People can set the base value for crypto at a certain amount. There's a lot of fuckery that goes along around the scenes. There are a million shit coins because basically anyone can start a crypto. But the original idea for crypto, what it was supposed to be, was a decentralized currency that people could use for specific transactions online. And the idea was like, oh, you want to buy a pizza with crypto? You could do it. if you have some like Bitcoin. And the idea was Bitcoin might reach like $1 one day. For a long time, that was the hope, that it might reach $1 one day. Now one Bitcoin is worth $80,000. But crypto very quickly went from being this thing that people were excited about gaining value because they hoped that it could replace the US dollar as a go-to form of universal currency for the internet. Instead, it became a thing to try and make it raise in value. The people realized it operated a lot like the stock market. If people keep buying and holding, then the value will go up. And not only that, but most coins have to be mined. In the case of crypto, you have to dedicate a processor of some kind. Nowadays, people tend to use GPUs because GPU processors are the best for it, to run calculations that after a certain amount of time and a certain amount of energy and processing power has been expended, you have a certain amount of that crypto. Back in the day, apparently you could mine crypto on a laptop. Bitcoin, you could just mine on a laptop. Nowadays, though, it takes like a building worth of machines running day and night for months to mine one Bitcoin, because one Bitcoin's $80,000. And the reason why it's reached that value is partially because people keep buying it, and so the perceived value that everyone just accepts has gone up, and it is where it is. But also, people have continuously mined Bitcoins, thus unlocking more of the finite amount of them that exists. And once they're held and owned and cannot be accessed anymore, the value of even a sliver of Bitcoin goes up. And that's why when you buy Bitcoin on the market, say you use Robinhood or something, technically you're just taking some of Robinhood's Bitcoin that they have in their like stocks, but regardless, you take some of their Bitcoin and they manage it all for you, and then you end up getting the payout for it. But imagining it is your actual crypto wallet, if you were using some other crypto exchange to do this, your buying of it is taking up what was already available and thus increasing the value. It's very similar to how stocks work, but it's truly all just ways for it went from being a cool idea that sounded exciting and neat to a way that people could try and make themselves rich. And because so many people have bought into the hype of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and whatnot, they buy in particularly late, and people who bought earlier and have been trying to convince people to buy, that, mind you, you know how like there was that meme about how everyone knew that one guy who was always telling them to buy cryptocurrency, to buy Bitcoin? It's because they already bought Bitcoin probably years ago, and they want you to buy it. They want more people to buy it so they can sell and make money off of you losing money. That's how it works. The people who get in early make the money. The people who get in late lose all their money to the people who got in early. That's simply how crypto works. It is just a method through which everybody is like, maybe I'll be one of the lucky ones that scams everybody else instead of being one of the poor bastards who gets scammed. It's gambling. It's literally just gambling. It's just a special kind of gambling. That's really, with pyramid schemes and far less regulation. That's the only way to break it down.
Not just flipping this token, as this can damage projects if people have decent sized tickets. It was my understanding we were aligned on this. However, after listening to which XCAD performed well, there was heavy dumping from a wallet linked to MrBeast's team. I got in contact with them immediately and asked them why they were selling like this. Now, Oliver later claims this discussion about flipping tokens and them being aligned about the fact they're not going to flip these tokens so quickly was with Jason. And apparently, Oliver was so upset about what happened, he DM'd Jimmy directly, quote, explaining his team will ruin his reputation. And look, sorry to be a broken record, but yes, I reached out to Jimmy about this too. And once again,
sadly, I don't even think a bunch of billionaire crypto bros can ruin MrBeast's reputation. You can't reach an audience of slop-eating kids and convince them that their favorite slop producer is a bad person who they shouldn't support. They don't have morals or empathy. They wouldn't even entertain the idea of a moral argument, like an argument about how you ought to do something. They won't entertain that.
And there was no reply besides the statement we read earlier. It's worth mentioning that I asked Oliver for proof of this message about ruining relationships, and he said the message had been deleted on Telegram. So who you believe here is up to you. Oliver also says, quote, I don't think Jimmy has a bad heart or is a bad person. I think he has genuine interest in the crypto space, but I think the team that handles his crypto is completely clueless. And here, on this last point, I have to disagree with Oliver. I don't think that Jimmy's crypto team is clueless. I think they saw an opportunity to make millions of dollars with MrBeast's valuable brand.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh, the guy who has the biggest YouTube channel in the world, based and is the most wealthy YouTuber in the world, probably at least YouTuber who's made their wealth off of YouTube. Yeah, he totally accidentally stumbled into making like 10 or 11 million, I think it was, off of that crypto sell. I'm sure it wasn't him maliciously and fully knowingly taking the action that he always knew would make him the most money. Something that he's clearly done for a very long time and gotten very good at, and that's how he got to where he is. Is this him in fucking Dubai, by the way?
Brand, and they took it, and they did make millions of dollars. And along the way, they did some things that were shady. Whether or not you think they were also illegal is probably going to be shaped by our unanswered questions and where you fill in those gaps. For example, do you think MrBeast knew about the selling that was going on May 12th for the super token? Why did he make that tweet? And then do you think MrBeast knew about the charity auction and the selling that was happening on November 30th? And do you think Oliver Bell DM'd MrBeast and told him his crypto team would ruin his reputation? And if so, was that ignored? I hate to leave so many unanswered questions here, but I warned you, this was a complicated...
Well, that's the thing. Coffeezilla cannot allege these, like, crimes or something that would be considered potentially slanderous, because MrBeast's team will sue. But MrBeast's team, even though they could sue, they would absolutely lose, and the case might be thrown out right away if it's just, he's just reporting on the facts, the opinion is up to the audience. This is very much a, I do not want to get sued, I have told you the facts, I cannot be sued for that. Even if I do, it would be a very easy to deal with slap suit, so that's the most I'll say. It is up to you to use your critical thinking to connect the dots here. That's the vibe I get from this. And you know what? I respect the hell out of that from Coffeezilla, particularly because, you know what? I'm getting a little bit tired of content that is focused around telling people what to believe. A lot of people might say that's the kind of content I do, but is it necessarily what I do? I feel like I make arguments and try to persuade people, but oftentimes, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm telling people to believe. More often, I feel like I'm yelling at people to Google something. Like, guys, just Google it! It's not that hard! Google sucks now, and even then, it's not that hard, right? Like, I feel like, I don't know, I don't tell people what to think, and I feel like that's something that needs to be encouraged. Just, like, teach people how to think, not what to think. Just like how schools are supposed to do, but don't necessarily achieve that that goal all that well according to the education stats for American students that we actually talked about on yesterday's stream. Apparently, Coffeezilla used to work for the SEC that investigates multi-level marketing schemes, stock scams, and crypto. Makes sense. He's clearly got a knack for this stuff, and it looks like he's got, like, a lot of experience.
Story. And a big part of the problem is the guy at the center of this story cannot or will not give more than a heavily lawyered statement through a spokesman who's a crisis management consultant. And let me just say, it's also frustrating that this statement takes zero accountability. Despite the fact MrBeast's team knew every major allegation that we're laying out here today, there is no mention of selling while MrBeast was tweeting about Super Token. There's no mention of them selling tokens a month after they partnered with a 2-month charity auction. And because of that, this statement feels very hollow. I think to MrBeast and probably to his fund, maybe this is just business, you know? They set out to make a lot of money, and they made a lot of money. What's the problem, right? This is America. They might think this is the biggest MrBeast nothing burger since MrBeast Burger. But look, honestly, I'd agree with them if they had done this crypto stuff without using MrBeast's name. But they want to have their cake and eat it too. This fund trades on MrBeast's name, as we've seen. They get in pre-sales based on his name. He tweets from his public account, and they're putting his name publicly on projects' websites instead of a fund. But when things go south, suddenly, oh, MrBeast, what? No, no liability, just because he's not sitting there physically pressing the buttons. I don't think...
Like I said, he put forward a suggestion that is unfalsifiable, right? Like, oh, maybe I was the one doing it, maybe I wasn't. It's impossible to prove or disprove, but all of the evidence would suggest, and a bit of critical thinking as well, would suggest that MrBeast was fully aware of what he was doing and was taking the action that he is a smart, business-minded guy who has appeared on podcasts and is regarded as a business mogul and an entrepreneurial expert, knew would make him the most money. He's not stupid. He hasn't continuously, time after time, luckily tripped his way into piles of cash.
That's the way it works. Look, I want to close with the final part of this CryptoPunks podcast we showed you earlier, because in many ways, I think it's a microcosm of this story. Obviously, I have to say, I'm not making any comments or judgments about the guy who's suing me, who's also in this clip. That's just coincidence. I am only talking about MrBeast's reaction, because
And I wish Coffeezilla a great settlement from the court in like compensation for dealing with the bullshit lawsuit.
As MrBeast is talking about Gary V's great CryptoPunks call, there's a moment when the co-host says, hey, maybe instead of Gary V being a genius, maybe it's just the call itself that makes the market. And MrBeast kind of defends it. He says, no, that was in February. CryptoPunks didn't pop until the summer. And, I never talked about CryptoPunks until this very moment.
Can I ask you guys a question? When Gary does that call with all these billionaires and 8 months or a year later, everybody's like, Gary was right again. Yeah. Is it possible that he's right because of the call? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think about that a lot. Yes. If even 4 billionaires drop a few milli on some of that coin, it is going to skyrocket, and it will look as though, oh man, a bunch of people must be buying out this coin. Yes, that's how it works. Yeah. The more money you can put in, especially early on, to like skyrocket a coin up, people will buy into it like crazy, and then you sell, and because you bought so much worth, you can experience unbelievable multiplications of your wealth.
Dude, he has all these billionaire market makers in the thing. He makes the call, makes the market. By the way, you look around at all the punk owners a year later and you're like, damn, it's all the same motherfuckers that were on the call.
No, because, bro, there's 10,000 punks and there's only like 30 of us on the call. We can only own and do so much. There's still an entire market that's going to happen regardless.
I can tell you, I don't think what, because that was all back like early February. The things didn't pop off till later. And every like NFT project was popping off, not just punks.
I mean, make no mistake, like having such influential people involved in projects, it can't hurt the ability for the project to
but like, hold on. The popping off or quote-unquote going to the moon of a stock is literally entirely in... If we're talking about it like performance in the past, that's entirely based on perspective, right? Like, look at the path of like the S&P 500 back in 2020, like early in the year, and you'll see that like, damn, things are going up to the moon, but you don't know that in a year, we're going to be entering one of the biggest troughs that the economy has ever seen. And like the index fund fucking just has a big old bowl. And then after Biden has been in office for a while, it starts to escalate back up. And now we're at an all-time high for the S&P 500 right now. And, if you look back at it in hindsight, it's easy to say, oh yeah, this currently upcoming high was always, this is when it popped off. But didn't it technically pop off back in 2020 before the pandemic when it reached its all-time high before the bull? Like, you can say that, but if it popped off more later, that it's just like, okay, well, more people got on board. It popped off before, too. Like, just because it didn't pop off as hard as it did later doesn't mean it didn't pop off. Clearly, a lot of the attention it got was due to, or a lot of the value that coin gained was due to billionaires buying a shitload of value in it.
Like, 95% of those people didn't even mention it. You know what I mean? I've never talked about it publicly.
Yeah, but that last part isn't quite true. The reason we're all here is MrBeast tweeted about CryptoPunks the same day he bought them back in February of 2021. That's how we found his wallet, even though we now know someone else was involved too. And I would apply the same level of scrutiny to many of the investments we've talked about. Was it the genius of Jason Williams, MrBeast, or this fund that made them tens of millions of dollars? Maybe. Or was it the fact that the name they brought to the table was MrBeast, one of the most influential and valuable brands in the world? And that's what got them the great deals. That's what got them a bunch of eyeballs. That's what made it so valuable to have his name on these websites. And maybe
Surely
that's what made the market.
Money that was
ultimately,
right there.
I think it's for you to decide.
Guys, I don't know. I don't think they took the obvious option that would make them the most money. I think they totally did the right thing and did not manipulate the crypto market and scam their fans and followers into buying into crypto scams that they would be the ones to profit from. Not the fans, the content creators that they're fans of. Russia just sued them for, that's a lot of money. That's a Google amount of money, actually, I think. Anyway, God, I really hate these clout YouTubers. Tonight is the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, and unfortunately, I do not think Mike Tyson is going to win for a variety of reasons. Jake Paul, unfortunately, probably has the advantage and will probably win and continue to be the unbeatable... Oh, let's see, how many likes... Oh yeah, we got a lot of likes. 126 to 200 people watching the stream, yeah. Obviously, more likes would definitely help, but yeah, it's just definitely YouTube... just not pushing the stream, regardless. I didn't get a notification, but this stream was in my recommended. Like I said, sometimes it'll show up in your recommended, sometimes you get notified, sometimes you don't get either. Usually, you don't get either. Anyway, did Jessica the Bard answer my my question? 3 months. Also, drink Death Wish, Zan. I will not drink Death Wish, but I do appreciate the 3-month tier 3 sub. That is immensely, immensely kind of you. Thank you, thank you. That means a lot. Oh god, I need to turn off autofocus. His branding is obnoxious. Like, he even chose to use like some sort of ripoff of Dexter's Laboratory style drawing, I guess, of himself as his PFP, so he can achieve the ultimate smug DreamWorks smile. One that can curl all, like, one that, like, legit hits that, hits that fucking golden ratio curl there. Like, just the full-on, like, just an impossible, DreamWorks face. This guy called Sael. I don't even know how his name is pronounced. I don't give a fuck how his name is pronounced. He's a retard. One of the biggest retards I've ever seen. Every time I get one of his videos recommended to me or see one of his dog shit takes on the internet anywhere, I consider taking a melon baller and scooping my eyes out so I don't ever have to read it, or just like taking my gun and firing it like 3 times right next to both ears till I can't hear anything anymore, so then I don't have to see or hear a take from this guy. This is genuinely one of the most brain-rotted channels I've ever encountered, and I am not excited to watch any of his content. But, no pun intended. Although pun actually kind of intended, because I was just staring, like, square at the asses of the characters in the thumbnails while I was speaking. Listen, I'm a man. My eyes gravitate. I'm a simple man, okay? My eyes, they gravitate, okay? Regardless, though, I saw this video recommended, and I knew that I had to cover it. Top 10 cultured games to heal gaming in a post-woke era. Because apparently we are now in the post-woke era. For those that don't know, they've declared victory now that Trump has won. There are no more DEI-mandated ugly women in Dragon Age, or Dragon Age hiring Kotaku transgender activist DEI kills $400 million game. No more of that, apparently. The wokeness is over, so let's go ahead and check it out. 10 cultured games to heal gaming in the post-woke era. Let's hope it's not all just gooner shit. It's not all gonna be gooner shit, right?
Instead of entertainment, you pay them for a lecture. DEI gum job guy, pop out your dentures. Gotcha got me springing like a gadget inspector. Beauty unashamed, Greco-Roman architecture. Speaking on behalf.
I don't know if he is aware, but the chicks that they sculpted in the statues in Greco-Roman shit were, well, they were like hourglass shaped, but also not. Like, just generally like a pretty damn realistic just depiction of like the female form. It wasn't like overly made skinny. It, like, proportions weren't exaggerated for the male gaze. It was generally done as like artistic representation in like a very respectful way. And because of that, you find that like the body type that he's describing as like equivalent is not the body type that they goon for. The shit they're gooning for are like BBL, ass implant, fucking like plastic surgery, like Instagram filter bitches. That's what they want. Like, let's be real. They're looking for them BBL Instagram filter ass bitches. That's what they're looking for. Women that like IRL rarely, if ever, actually exist. And, you know, fair, fine. Maybe what you look for in games are for female characters to be designed in a way where they're completely unrealistically gorgeous. I'm fine with it, dude. I'm a straight guy. I'm not gonna complain about it. But this like culture war centered around fighting for more of it, or against this imaginary idea that it's being like exterminated or taken away from you, it's nerd shit. You're the nerd emoji. That's you.
Half of the people who've been here before. These are kind of niggas who telling you who to vote for. Dirt poor, backdoor crack whore with cold sores. Not even a sophomore crying about a woke war. Shell cracked Kyle Shaka when the walls fell. Make a bald.
Okay, we're not listening to this. When's this start being a video?
Of people whose audiences they're suddenly jealous of. What's insane, is my audience is frequently regarded as nothing by the tourists who are desperately trying to destroy the industry, so to see them admit that they're desperate for you is hilarious. Surely these...
Okay, so I guess he's talking right now about how progressive content creators are quote-unquote desperate for attention because we're all acknowledging that the left has failed massively in achieving the amount of eyes on its like messaging as the right has, particularly because the left does not coast along based on rage clicks like the right has the complete advantage of because it's the internet. And so yeah, unfortunately guys, the lack of success of the left is going to become the left's biggest failure online pretty soon, because they are continuously leaning into the idea of, you know how the left has no presence online compared to the right? That's for a reason. These are the people you should be listening to. People gravitate to truth tellers. And so for as long as the only left-leaning figures with much of a platform online are people like Hassan, these folks will continue to gain more credibility on the fact that they've already got credibility.
These posers are aware that their own audiences are leaving and effortlessly finding the smash JTs they hate so much because they actually address the news that these puppets avoid. In a podcast, these losers had no issue telling their audience to get over their choice and vote for who they choose because they know better. If you have the time to frequently allow your feelings to get the best of you because of whatever clout...
Your entire career is based off of people's feelings, dude. The reason why that podcast gets less views and is less successful than this dude is because their rhetoric, their message is, why are you guys mad about this nothing issue? Like, can you guys explain where the problem is? Well, the message from this guy is, they're attacking what you love. You have to protect it. You have to protect it. Join our squad. Join our movement. You can be part of something. Be angry. Be angry. They're attacking what you love. Of course the person's screaming that from the rooftops and not, why are you upset about this? Do you have any evidence to back up why you're upset? Of course the people encouraging and stoking emotions are doing better and getting more audience.
Out jealousy, lost election, or dreidel Mr. Dunk on Chuds is smoking. I'll make
Oh, he's a Nazi. Like, full on, okay.
Extra time to entertain and remind people that gaming is more than what the hormonal, unpopular minority believes it to be. But I hope these loudmouth activists continue to Rachel Zegler.
I think what he's doing is just repeatedly coming up with different ways to refer to women. Hormonal? Okay.
And destroy the jobs of people around them faster because narcissism. With respect to your time, the criteria for this list factors in the change that I believe will occur in the industry following reaction to these titles. Nintendo is freaking out because of the reaction to Pal World. Pal World is what I always wanted Pokemon.
Nintendo is freaking out because of the reaction to Pal World. What? No, Nintendo is freaking out because they're a evil company that wants to have all rights to what the game mechanics that they have patented, much like how Monolith, or I guess Warner Brothers, patented like the Nemesis system mechanic in the Shadow of War and Mordor games, where no other game can use that mechanic. They patented it. The idea of monster battles and a bunch of other features that Pal World offers in an attempt to monopolize the idea of what the Pokemon games are so no one else can compete, Nintendo has long since patented those game mechanics, and so Nintendo is suing the company that made Pal World on the grounds that they violated those patents on game mechanics. They aren't freaking out that a not woke company is coming in and like, what? No, they're an evil company trying to preserve their income because they own a monopoly on an IP and want to preserve their monopoly. It's capitalism, baby. I really do love, by the way, how much the right has had to embrace socialism in order to win over the normies. Have you noticed that? From like criticizing the practices of like massive corporations trying to monopolize industries, but calling it woke or progressive or even socialist, criticizing big business, big corporations, wealthy people, elites, millionaires. It's all this like populist, borderline socialist rhetoric, but instead of blaming it on capitalism, it's like, oh, these are attacks on capitalism from socialists. It's like, okay, man. All right, cool. You figured it out. All of capitalism's flaws are socialism too.
Want to be. I believe Inzoi will be what people wanted The Sims to be. I believe Path of Exile 2 will be what Diablo should have been. comment what you feel I should have included, and I might take some of the answers and include it in an upcoming list.
Why are these people so fucking boring? Okay, he's playing some...
A recent Ubisoft DEI design was so ugly that it inspired me to make a new collage. Everybody...
God damn it. Alright. I don't know what this is from, but here's what I'm going to assume. This is probably from a PvP game. Do you guys know anything, like, especially tax shooters? Do you know anything that is core to the gameplay of a PvP game as to why the build of 2B here might be so bulky compared to normal? Why do you think 2B looks like this in this model and not more like this being a more accurate representation of her? Even this art is actually pretty accurate too. Why do you think she looks like this in this version? That's literally Square Enix. Hitboxes, probably. It's almost certainly hitboxes or a skin that goes over an already existing model. Because in games that have any PvP, or if it's a skin that goes over a model that already exists, they either have to completely port in the model, or, at least in the case that I know, in the case of FF14, they've just ported in 2B's model, straight up, because, you know, Square Enix owns both IPs, I believe. But, in the Ubisoft one, I'm pretty sure this is from a PvP game of some kind, and it's a Siege skin. Yeah. Siege is a super competitive game where hitboxes matter intensely. You can wallbang people in that game. It's a massive factor of the game's gameplay, is being able to shoot people through walls. The exact diameter and metrics of the hitbox matter immensely. There's a reason why all the characters in those games, regardless of their, like, gender or whatever, all have the same build. Like in Valorant, you'll notice every character is the same height. Male, female, non-binary, every character is the same height in Valorant because head level needs to be the same exact level by the pixel for everybody when you play a tack shooter like that, because crosshair placement on exactly where the head will be when they emerge from around a corner or through a doorway or anything along those lines is critical to getting the W. So once again, pretending like we actually care about games or how they're made, just profiting. Like, horny rage is such a powerful emotion to build an audience and a movement even off of. That is an advantage that these people have, but it's just wild how effectively they can use, like, like all the blood flow going to the dick of their audience to fool them into advocating for things that any gamer should be able to see on a surface level is a stupid argument, right? Like, these arguments are on the same level as the progressives I hear unironically arguing that game companies should get rid of any form of voice chat in games, from communicatable, like, comms in game where you can, like, press, like, your push to talk and say, oh, he's the 3 rushing B, or even proximity chat in, like, a survival game. There is a real movement of progressive gamers that want to advocate, or that are advocating for the banning or the stopping of inclusion of voice chat in games to reduce harassment. I have met real progressives who are behind this movement. If these guys were instead advocating against those types, dude, I would be fully on board with these people if they were advocating against, like, progressives that were advocating for cringe shit like that. But whatever. This is a porn game. Yeah, a lot of the games I assume he's recommending are going to be porn games too. Yeah. Here we've got, like, a bunch of the collage they love to show. Here's, like, an image of a character that is... This looks like it was used from a thumbnail where it's meant to make this character look as unappealing as possible. You've got an image of Aloy from Horizon Scowling, a character from Fable, which is a series where all the characters are, like, kind of caricatured and ugly. So this is just keeping with the theme of Fable, but none of the people complaining have played Fable. I don't know what the complaint is here about this character. Is she supposed to be hot? I don't know. It just seems like the hair is slicked back and she's wearing, like, a thing. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with this character. Is this character supposed to be considered ugly? I don't know. Okay. It's literally all just subjective, and half the images here, is this supposed to be an ugly character? Dude, people have been thirst posting about the main character of GTA 6 for a while now. Is GTA 6 woke now? Dude, half the trailer for GTA 6 is women shaking fat asses in the camera. The other half is naked, wrinkly white men running across the road because it's Florida. Like, what? Is GTA 6 what? Well, to be fair, yes, GTA has always been what they would call woke, yeah.
That propaganda, and then the man kiss you like that. It's allowed
Is that a Fortnite skin?
nudity and sex scenes, but you know, if the Eastern Games were to try that with a pretty woman, they're the worst thing in the world. But they're gonna keep making all that money.
Who the fuck is mad about Eastern Games having pretty women? We're just making fun of you for gooning, dude. Like, so much of this is like, where are the people doing this? You know that I, like, cover these people's videos for a living. And yet, I have yet to see a person with a sizable platform actually argue games need to have less sexy women. I've yet to see a single person argue this. Like, it's not a conversation anyone is having. It's just a conversation these people have made up because it's something that the majority of gamers, even female gamers, like looking at pretty women. They like having pretty female characters. Like, I play Valorant, and you can almost, like, it is surprising how many women play Valorant. I played a lot of CS back in the day, and there were women on CS from time to time, but I would oftentimes, I remember every time there was, because it always resulted in almost every dude on the team going, "Oh my god, a girl! A girl! A girl!" Some variation of that response whenever there was a woman on the opposing team. Or not the opposing team, but the team that we're on. And then if they're on the opposing team, it's like, target the girl, wipe her out first, and then, like, flame her in chat and call her a dumb bitch, right? There were not a lot of women on CS, and so when it happened, it stood out, right? On Valorant, dude, there are a lot of women that play Valorant. There is a feminine voice in making call-outs in every single lobby I get into. I don't think I've had a single lobby today that I queued into that didn't have a woman playing on my team. And making out comms. It is quite the difference. It is obvious that the gaming community has continuously gotten more diverse, and that, like, this idea that girls are just playing Farmville or fucking Stardew or like gacha games or fucking mobile games is not true. There are tons of women that play Valorant, and women that do, or just games in general. There are tons of women that play games and like to see hot female characters in it, and like to play as hot female characters. I know that from playing MMOs, like FF14. But there has always been a conversation about when it's, like, really over the top and a little bit, like, disrespectful. That's become much less the norm in the gaming industry in the last, like, decade. And so that really hasn't been a conversation. These people are just making up a conversation no one is having. No one is criticizing the presentation of female characters for being too sexualized these days. Like, people will sometimes rip on it as a joke, but I don't think people jokingly saying, yeah, people who play Nier Automata are just gooners. I don't think people saying that are, like, advocating against or fighting against the right or whatever for those games to exist. I think they're just joking around about, like, the types of people who play a certain game, right? Like, there's this, like, it's this weird, like, culture they've tried to build around, like, feeling superior for playing Eastern developed games. And they always use the term Eastern very broadly, but, like, you rarely see these people criticizing the massive, overwhelming takeover of the scam gacha game meta in China, for example, where the fact that, like, in China, legitimately, if you're not willing to just dump thousands of dollars a day on a game, you're not considered a real, like, hardcore player of it. Like, it's all about whaling out on games in China. That is the gaming community there, is heavily mobile focused. It's everything that these guys complain about in gaming is, like, the meta in China and most of the Eastern gaming sphere. Why are they, like, touting it as, like, the peak when it is the worst case of the gaming market falling to profit and rent-seeking behavior, just trying to, like, shake every penny they can out of their customer base? Like, they don't actually care. They just want to goon. It is just saying, aren't you angry that they don't want you to be able to fap anymore? No one is trying to make you not fap anymore, by the way, but aren't you mad? Support our movement of, like, fighting the woke.
I'm saddened that the people sitting on Unreal Tournament can't keep the thrill and competition of a not-too-serious die and respawn action shooter alive, when there's clearly a market for that I guess you're just gonna ignore to sell digital shoes, which I wholeheartedly regard as the horse armor of the new mainstream generation. We're all...
But, dude? You are literally dick riding the Eastern game industry while criticizing there being markets in games? Yeah, this is Fortnite. Yeah. Fortnite has everybody, dude. Like, everybody is in Fortnite.
All human beta testers. Most of us would probably clear our schedule to go buy a lightsaber or a Batmobile to run around and game and be an idiot with, but good God. Number 1 is and could only ever be Grand Theft Auto 6. This election needed to happen. This outrage over woke and DEI strangling creativity in gaming had...
Oh man, these guys think that Donald Trump won the election because people are done with the wokeness. No, Donald Trump won the election because he promised that the economy would be, like, legendarily amazing under him, and people believed it. The thing that I guess would be the most tangentially true to what these guys are going to try to argue the election's results prove is that the anti-political correct vibe of Trump, like the directly insulting the demographics, like black people and whatnot, that like he needs to vote for him if he wants to win, they still voted for him. Like, Hispanic voters still voted for Trump, even when he, say, calls Puerto Rico trash, when he says rapists and murderers are all that are coming up from south of the border. They voted for him anyway because the racism is no longer enough to push those groups away from voting Republican if they think that voting Republican will result in a better economy. And it won't, and we're all going to experience it pretty bad, especially gamers. Oh man, we actually did a segment just yesterday about how bad Trump's tariffs are going to affect the gaming community. And what's sad about it is these big YouTubers who built up all these people to think Trump is going to save the economy, they're going to be fine. They make so much money that they're not really going to suffer that much from, say, electronics being overwhelmingly expensive or games from the East being tariffed and thus way more expensive from retailers. They're not going to get hit too hard by that, but their audiences, yeah, they will. I wonder how these YouTubers are going to spin it.
To happen, and there are a great number of things that I have planned to show gaming before this nightmare becomes a reality. We should be thankful because Take-Two in their brain damage claim they're worried about reviews, as in from players, when they should.
Like, is he even trying to hide that this is all about just, like, angry, horny rage? Half the video so far has just been titties bouncing, and I'm not complaining. You can guess where I'm looking right now. But, like, dude, like, you're not even hiding it. Like, you keep complaining about how we say, they just want to jerk off, but then half your videos are just bouncing tits.
Should be worried about the scumbag legacy media activists posing as games journalists and shills who lie to sabotage.
Okay, what is the average breast size in America? 34 double D, while it is... Okay, oh no, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. Oh, man. Does he actually think... Okay. Wow, there's so much to take apart here. There is so much to take apart here. So for one, he is upset because he is alleging... Oh my god, there's no way. My fucking knuckle just barely grazed, man. I grazed that arrow key. Damn. Okay. So here's what he's claiming. Okay. Here's what he's claiming. So, not only is he claiming that the breast sizes of these characters in the trailer for GTA 6 are too small. He's claiming their boobs are too small. And that this is a woke game that is trying to get rid of attractive women. Hilarious, I know. While bringing up a stat that the average breast size in America is 34 double D, okay? Now, 34 double D... some big-ass tits, okay? I can tell you. I've seen a lot of boobs in my life. 34 double D is some big-ass tits. Now, do you want to guess why the average, if you know what average actually is, breast size in the U.S. might be 34 double D? I assure you it's not because the average woman is walking around with 34 double D boobs and, like, a body like this, for instance. What factor do you think might contribute immensely in America to the average breast size being so large? Do you think that it's most women have big 34 double D breasts or adjacent? Or do you think obesity, a massive epidemic in America, and body fat being the #1 contributor to breast size might have a factor there? So he's literally complaining that these characters are too small-chested because when he looks up the average breast size in America, he sees 34 double D and genuinely believes, because he doesn't go outside, he's a fucking, like, basement-dwelling gooner, that, like, the average woman is out there with D-cup breasts and presumably a body like this, just waltzing about out there, all natty, bro. All natty. He believes that. He thinks that's backed up by data. And didn't think for a second about why that might be. Jesus Christ. Let's read the comments on this shit show. Ubisoft ruining 2B. How is this even possible? They were handed a guaranteed win. Dude, it's modern-day Ubisoft, like BioWare. If they can fumble an easy layup, they will. Like how Disney ruined when Star Wars won. It's a guaranteed win. Most of the comments you oftentimes read from conservatives, they don't even know how to type in English. It's bizarre. I hope that Ubisoft gets sued of whatever little money they have left, because apparently they did something lawsuit-worthy. Ideology aside, people have to remember that modern Ubisoft is pretty lazy, and the people that do have talent and care about games are swamped with work. Imagine all the normal devs that have to pick up the slack from all the lazy ideologies, only to then deal with brainless leadership that pushed for another macro transaction. Oh my god, these fucking people. Slop that you know is going to flop, and you finish that off with the HR lady that tells you about how the design of character X is way too sexy for the modern audience. That did apparently happen at Blizzard, though. Apparently, there was like a there was apparently like an HR person who vetoed a design for a character because it was too sexualized. I think Blizzard HR design veto. Yeah, Blizzard's HR is notoriously awful, if you guys know anything about it. Can I not find, like, the original... Huh. Maybe it was never made public. I guess it was just an allegation on Twitter? Huh. Okay. Wait, never mind. That might have never actually happened. That might have just been a talking point these people made up that, like, caught on. I'm not finding even a there was not a single source that I could find when I searched up Blizzard HR veto character design. So apparently that didn't happen, but I thought it did. It was the Tracer pinup poster from Overwatch? Oh, okay, so it was like a poster design. That makes sense. Okay. That would explain why it didn't come up then. Because I was looking up, like, a vetoed character design or a character concept. Alright. Well, this guy's fucking dumb. And I feel like I've already exposed the fact that, as a gamer, you should already be able to tell how stupid his points are right off the bat. Also, why do these guys drone so much? Oh my god. You guys know how much it fucking hurts as a YouTuber to put so much effort in to these tiny little details you might not even notice that I do. For instance, the fact that I change the tone and pitch of my voice roughly every 3 to 5 seconds so I don't sound monotone. I just did it then. If you talk like this, then you just sound monotone and you're never changing your tone or intonation, and then eventually, if you listen to it long enough, it gets really boring, even if there aren't constant pauses and cuts. So I talk more like this, and I actually add a little bit of emotion to my voice, and I think it probably provides much more... But these guys just fucking monotonely groan through the mic, and they pull, like, what is this, 40,000 views in a day? Jesus. Guys, I'm totally not jealous. I'm totally not jealous. And to make me totally not jealouser, you should hit that like button. Whether you're watching the stream or this is a video, it really does help the channel a ton. Their own maps, their own games, they would publish them under their account's name, and, you know, they could sometimes make money off of it, though there's a lot of exploitation that goes on due to the, like, payout process and everything and how it works. A lot of child labor is going on. Regardless, though, that entire issue aside, yeah, it's an online video game. Kids make their own games. They play each other's games. They make friends. And then there's also, like, a built-in social media platform. If anyone doesn't know what Roblox is. And it's based off of, like, the aesthetic of Lego, almost. All right. Let's check out what this whole situation is about.
Roblox has a dark and twisted community hiding inside. My videos were taken down by a self-proclaimed cult leader. My inbox flooded with threats and other disturbing messages. But why?
Okay, shit.
What could this video have possibly been about? And what kind of rabbit hole could I have possibly unraveled?
Oh, man. No, this is some real Nazi LARP shit. I recognized enough in those flashes on screen. These fuckers are LARPing some, like, ancient Rome bullshit. They're doing Templar LARP. Yeah, these are some real, like, 14-year-old wannabe 4chaner Nazis. Yeah.
The story begins all the way back in 2009. Roblox itself is still pretty young at this point. Being founded only 5 years earlier, users had access to very limited technology. But one of the key elements of Roblox at this time was the PvP, or the combat. All the players needed was a simple sword or a gun, and they could have fun for hours. Some players even formed their own clans or factions using these simple weapons to fight other player-made clans.
The Disaster Tycoon games were always my favorite, where it's like you and like 13, 15 other people are in like an area, and in a countdown of like every 3 minutes, there's some big disaster and you have to do a different thing to avoid it. And it's mostly a chat lobby where you have to like try and stay alive, and you're kind of like doing a little mini game, building up your money so you can buy cool little knickknacks that let you avoid the disasters easier. Sometimes it's a flood. Sometimes it's like you have to get as low as possible, or rising lava, or falling you know, meteors. Yeah, survive the disaster. I always loved using the spring to like launch somebody into like a disaster and get them killed. That's not even PvP technically. It's use the environment to take someone out, and that was always fun. You could troll people and they get mad.
One of these factions was a Halo-themed fighting group led by user VMK Sillin, who I'll just call VMK for now. He was able to gather a pretty sizable following in this group, but as we'll find out soon enough, this power would only get to his head. VMK's Halo clan was pretty big at the time. It had little to no competition, and he was widely respected in the community. But in 2010, something would change. VMK would make a series of forum posts that would give us a glimpse at what was brewing in his mind, and some of these posts are just outright disturbing. He had written a post directed at Roblox as a whole, asking an odd question. He wondered as to why Roblox was cracking down on National Socialist groups, which is just another word for Nazism.
That's Nazi.
He argued that communist groups should be banned rather than Nazi factions. His main point was that, quote, Stalin killed more innocent people than Hitler. Of course, he would be met by confusion and backlash. One comment on the forum would state, "Last time I checked, Roblox wasn't about politics. Let's keep it that way."
Back then, that is how people responded to people trying to make a space all Nazi. Nowadays, if you say, hey, there's a Nazi trying to make this space all Nazi, this is what you get in reply. Let's not make this space about politics. Let him say what he wants to.
And another saying simply, who cares? But this wouldn't deter VMK. In fact, this was only the beginning of his rant. This ideology that he so clearly had a fascination over would spill into his Halo faction.
God.
Screenshots showing him making some very ill remarks, mostly about Jewish people. Of course, not everyone in his group accepted this ideology.
Dude, listen, one day I gotta do a video about 2B2T and the politics of it, because it's really interesting. As like the actual first ever complete free speech platform, watching it go from being a place where everyone tries to be as edgy as possible, saying as many slurs as they can, stretching the bounds of the freedom of speech they have on the server as much as possible, to how it is today, where when I join 2B2T these days, I can sit there and watch chat for 5 to 10 minutes at a time before I see a single slur. People are just having normal conversations. I'll go 5 to 10 minutes without seeing an insult tossed around in 2B2T chat. Some might say the community's gotten soft. I would argue that to an extent, part of it is the community maturing. It's growing slower than it used to, so it's a lot of staying players getting older and, you know, adult and not 14 years old and wanting to yell the N-word in Minecraft chat. And so the server has gone from being one of the most toxic places that you can imagine to a genuinely relatively chill place. Like, I'll just have conversations in the open chat on 2B2T when I log on sometimes. And, like, it's just like, yeah, people say, hey, yo, what's up, if they recognize you. Like, it's actually a surprisingly chill community now. I think a lot of that stems from the fact that for so long, everybody was just saying what they wanted to say that's super offensive. But then once the novelty of that wears off and no one is around to be offended by it, because no one who would be offended by that would be on 2B2T. It's such a niche space for people who've got a thick enough skin to deal with it. It's like they got bored. Like, what's the point of being super over-the-top edgy if it's not edgy anymore? If everyone's edgy, then no one is, right? And the space chilled out because no one is well, there are people, but everyone isn't try-harding to be as edgy and over-the-top offensive as possible anymore, you know? Like, it's an interesting, like, arc. I've wanted to talk about it in, like, a prepared scripted video for a while. I've thought about this. Like, maybe once a month I put out, like, a scripted prepared video just to talk about something I want to really break down and go deep into that I can't really give enough thought in the moment to talk about to my to a satisfactory degree in a live format. Just like once a month, just a prepared video that's like about a thing I want to talk about in detail with research and everything, and, you know, just in more detail than I can live.
Or even knew about it, but it was definitely there. A user named Krut was a staff member, making important decisions inside of VMK's Halo faction. But tensions were brewing between these two figureheads. They were constantly disagreeing with each other and competing for control within the group. But the biggest difference between these two was their political alignment. Krut became aware of VMK's obsession and his hostile attitude, and a lot of other people in this group did as well. Forum posts would describe VMK as awfully terrible and very deceiving. And these comments, they add up. When you look deeper into VMK's account, some disturbing posts, like wishing death upon others and telling someone to pour gasoline on their chest and ignite themselves. Simply because
this account has been going since 2008, so let's assume this was an 8-year-old posting this stuff back then. The youngest they could possibly be now, assuming they were, like, this is the youngest that, like, this VMK Sillin person could have been back then in 2008 was, like, 8, right? Like, 8 or 9 years old, maybe. Now they would be 25 or 26. Minimum. So if they're still operating nowadays, then this person is basically a Nazi who might be in their 30s or older, radicalizing kids to Nazism on Roblox. How old do you think they really were in 2008? If they're still on there now at however old they are doing this, they might have been older. They might not have even been a kid in 2008 when they got into this shit.
Because he disagreed with their opinion. VMK's comments and attitude would pretty much ignite a civil war within his Halo faction. This rebellion was led by a user named We4, along with Krut, who at this point were repulsed by VMK, and a lot of people agreed with them, so they followed the rebellion and confronted VMK. But when faced with confrontation, VMK decided to, instead of putting up any sort of fight, to flee. He left the group entirely, leaving his Halo faction in the hands of Krut and We4. Rather than abandon the world of Roblox clans and diplomacy, he would try his luck once more, this time someplace that felt closer to his beliefs. VMK Sillin would create a faction called the Germanic Empire, which was a clear representation of Nazi Germany, although he added his own
Isn't it weird how much connection internet Nazi stuff has to any war in space aesthetic? So Halo, Warhammer, like anything centered around like Space Marines, really. And I get that part of it is probably that the origin of Space Marines as a concept comes from what was the why am I blanking on the writer of Starship Troopers name right now? I'm thinking like Richard. Not Richard. It's a name similar to Richard. The author of Starship Troopers, like, fuck, I can't remember his name right now. Heimlin. Richard Heimlin? His name was Richard Heimlin, right? I had his first name. I remembered his first name right. It was Richard? Huh. I'm surprised. I could have sworn Robert, not Richard, Robert. Okay, damn it. So Robert Heinlein, thank you. Heavy Gretel. You got it. You were the first one to get the first and last. Okay, I was wrong about it being Richard. So Robert Heinlein, big conservative, like hardcore conservative, very like culture war oriented, believed wokeness was destroying society type deal. I think that's probably why so much space, obviously that was the first case of Space Marine anything. And so I think that's why so much Space Marine oriented media and fan base, like all that stuff, has such a right-wing bent. Where it's like, you'll get people that, like, one tweet they're talking about wiping out black people, the next tweet they're talking about, like, human supremacy and wiping out the Xenos, right? I think it probably goes back to that, but I've noticed it's always that. Like, it's always like a Halo fan community that goes Nazi, or a Halo fan account that goes Nazi on Twitter, or some Warhammer shit. It's definitely a connection that exists. Like, there's something there culturally.
Twist. It was supposed to be an alternate history group, one where Germany won the Second World War. The group description gives us a disturbing look into these fantasies. It reads, "We do not mourn what has happened before, as this group focuses on what happens in the future. What could have been made as a perfect world." And even more alarmingly, one man promised peace.
The LARP.
And this group goes to show what that man was planning after the war. A future for all of us that is not only overwhelming, but underrated by most. His Roblox inventory would also give us a glimpse into this faction, as it was filled with Nazi-themed apparel. There are exactly 64 pieces of clothing, at least that I could find, split between his main and alternate account.
Basically, for those who don't know, the way that you customize a character in Roblox, at least back in the day, was that your character is broken up into like little Lego pieces, both arms, the legs, the main body, and the head. And eventually they introduced like body shapes, so you could have like a sort of like a more like curved and actually like humanish shaped body, and they continuously upgraded like the detail of the models as time went by. There's been art style changes, but back in the day, it was simple as that. You had like square arms, a square body, square legs, and a round head, like an oval prism, or is that the term for it? Head. And you would cylindrical ovular prism is probably the name of it or something, I don't know, for a head. And you go into a market where other players design different parts. So they'll design like an outfit, right? And you can buy just, say, the legs of the outfit, or one leg of the outfit, or you can buy the full outfit. And then you've got all those parts for your character now, and you can swip and swap them of what you've got and what you own, what you don't. You can wear a full outfit, you can wear just parts of it, you can buy accessories that you just add on to an already existing outfit. It all costs Robux, mind you, which is the currency on the platform, but with that, you can customize your character, and so you can see what people have bought. You can see what cosmetic pieces for their character customization they own. And in the case of this guy, he's got Nazi Africa Corps 2, SS Jacket Attempt, Arctic World War II Nazi Uniform, Nazi Snowtrooper Pants, Nazi Camo Test, Nazi Camo... These are like test designs, I guess, that he's downloaded. Nazi Arctic Gear, Arctic World War II Nazi Uniform, Nazi Camo, SS Uniform, legs, Nazi uniform pants, Nazi uniform top, Nazi dress uniform, Nazi dress AF uniform, Nazi uniform tan. Like, it's just, these are all parts. How is he not banned? Roblox is not a good company.
From German infantry to SS divisions, and even Hitler's personal jacket. It's actually quite impressive how many uniforms he was able to upload. I'm surprised to see this many get past Roblox's moderation system. But on that same note, however, some assets VMK had uploaded for his German faction were not so lucky. My guess is that one of his uniforms boasted a swastika on it, as he would make quite the unhinged forum post around this time, complaining about Roblox's moderation. He said there were too many rules, and questioned why Roblox would ban the swastika, and not the Soviet hammer and sickle. Of course, nobody really agreed with him, but there were some people that did. A user named Kanali was one of the only people that followed VMK since his abdication from the Halo faction. He had followed VMK through thick and thin, and was determined to help VMK with his next project. After the release of Halo Reach, which, by the way, is the best Halo game of all time, the popularity of Halo on the platform had skyrocketed. More people than ever before were interested in joining and fighting for a Halo faction, and VMK didn't like this. The Halo genre as a whole was undoubtedly more popular than ever before.
These people hate when their thing gets popular. Chuds that like a certain thing their biggest fear, and a big reason why so much of the right-wing media shit has been about things being like popular things going mainstream and that making it go woke and bad, is because so many gamers, and particularly gamers, are deathly afraid of their favorite little niche thing breaking out beyond being like popular within its fan base and like the people that it's made for, and getting into mainstream popularity, because a lot of them perceive that as like the first step to that piece of media and everything that they loved about it dying. And so, like, fighting against the mainstreaming of stuff that you like is a big part of what, like, conservative gamer nerd bros, like, fight for and kind of enforce as a cultural thing. Excuse me, Roblox Nazis? Wait, actually, that does make sense? Yeah, I mean, if you know about Roblox and how it operates as a platform, if you know that, like, how easy it would be for, like, predators to groom kids on that website as a platform, then you know it's got to be easy for some weirdo to radicalize kids to Nazism on there. It's very conducive to that kind of thing.
And he was no longer in control, so VMK would start over, scrapping his German group, and he would make an entirely new Halo faction, but he would have to abandon his VMK account to start on a fresh slate. His reputation was already stained. His new account was named Alpha Loopy, and he would use this account to try and replicate his earlier success. For the sake of the video, I'm just still gonna call him VMK, just so it's easier. Anyways, there was a huge brick wall that was preventing him from making any progress. K-Rut and his Halo group were massive at this point. In fact, he almost had a total monopoly on the genre, but this wouldn't exactly stop VMK. He had a master plan brewing, and it must work. Kane Ollie and VMK would approach K-Rut with an offer. They would merge whatever following they had into his Halo group and control only the Marine detachment. K-Rut was reluctant. He asked VMK a pretty important question. Didn't you lead a Nazi Germany faction? But VMK had a very clever response. Actually, my cousin was in control of my account and he did that.
Who here was in chat earlier when we were covering the Coffeezilla MrBeast stuff, and I literally said, nah, it wasn't me who sold the coin after tweeting that it's gonna go to the moon. It was my little brother was on my Xbox. He no, it was my cousin. My cousin was on my account, and he spent years running a Nazi club on my account. You know, it was my cousin. My cousin did that. He got on my computer for a minute and ran a Nazi community for years.
Sorry. K-Rut would believe this lie, at least for now. And he would accept the proposition VMK had initially offered. And for now it seems—
Noobifier said, geez, I didn't even get a notification for this stream, and I've got the bell rung. I'm glad you ended up finding it, Noobifier. Yeah, I can tell from the viewer count today that YouTube's not pushing this stream in the slightest. It just happens. Some days YouTube just doesn't bother or deign to tell you guys that I've gone live. They know better. Trust me, YouTube knows better as to whether or not you want to watch my stream. So if you didn't get my stream and you recommended, you just must have never wanted to see it. You know, YouTube knows best, obviously. And you hit the bell icon and everything, but YouTube still knows best.
Seemed like a happy ending. Everyone seemed to get along. But this wouldn't last very long. VMK and his followers had essentially Trojan horsed their way into K-Rut's faction. From the inside, they would gather a larger following and spread ideas of dissent. And before long, they would attempt to coup K-Rut and take the faction for themselves. Of course, this wouldn't be very successful. He didn't have enough influence within the community to even achieve this. He would then be forcefully removed from the genre, hoping to be never seen again. His hope in the Halo community was essentially gone at this point. But he still had hope for a new project, one that would pretty much change Roblox forever. A TV series known as Rome was pretty popular around this time. It showcased
You guys ready for some LARP? Y'all ready for some Giga LARP? There is nothing more that these Nazis love more than to pretend to be some Roman senators or something. It's like, they simultaneously hate democracy, love the idea of, like, the forum, but also, it's so bizarre. I don't know. It's just, it's some bizarre shit. They LARP hard about Rome. They LARP very hard. How often do we think about Rome? You know, that was a meme for a while. The whole, like, men think about ancient Rome once a day thing. that meme kind of got it to the point where that was actually true for a while, but then the meme stopped being a thing. And then I realized that I hadn't thought of Rome in literal, like, days or like a week since the meme had died. And I was like, huh, yeah, okay, men don't think about ancient Rome It was very much like an incel right-wing meme, that whole thing. It was supposed to push this idea, like, that there's been a movement in right-wing meme culture that's hit the mainstream. It's this idea that men are inherently gravitated towards the expectations that the patriarchy has for them. They'll simultaneously complain about women not being, like, eligible for the draft, and that's unfair, and yet they'll also make memes about how girls talk about wanting to die surrounded by family peacefully in their own beds, and men want to die in war, like fighting for what they believe in. And then they'll make memes about that, and then they'll produce more memes that kind of build out from that idea, where it's like, yeah, dudes, they just want to fight and die in war. Women want to die surrounded by family in their bed. And on top of that, men, they think about Rome constantly because they're always thinking about, like, successful civilizations and how they failed and how to build a new one, because men are just, they got the minds for that kind of thing. It's all, like, this weird dude bro, male supremacist, like, culture stuff that's become mainstreamed. Partially it's posted ironically, the whole, like, men think of ancient Rome thing. It's a little ironic, but also that's, like, where it comes from. That's why it blew up as, like, a thing.
Historical depiction of the Roman Empire. It focused heavily on the drama and the scandals, and the almost dictatorial power dynamic. It was loved by the general audience, and among this audience was VMK Sillen, who found himself more inspired rather than entertained. It lit a light bulb in his head. He would follow a blueprint laid out by the TV show, which depicted the Roman Empire as a hierarchy, with the emperor at the top, followed by his councils in an organized senate. The emperor would have almost complete control, making the majority of the faction's decisions. The emperor was also worshipped in a way. The councils were handpicked by the emperor with the purpose of helping to maintain control. And now the senate was a bit different. It was filled with influential figures, and the purpose was to create a board of directors almost, which would aid in decision-making and military reforms. But it would be pretty difficult to replicate this in Roblox. The game features were pretty limited, but VMK Sillen, who had now changed his username to Your Caesar, of course inspired by Rome's Julius Caesar, he'd already made up his mind. And so he gathered his close friends and he built out a government which mirrored the Rome TV.
He literally pulled a Caesar's Legion. When given the opportunity, retarded little loser LARPers like this will always try to make themselves Caesar and build themselves their own little Rome. Every time. LARPy loser retards like that will always do that. This is why Fallout New Vegas is the best Fallout game. It is objectively the most realistic Fallout game. Despite how over-the-top goofy it is in every possible way, time proves how realistic it is. Because someone like Edward I think his name was like Edward Sallow or something like that. Is that his name? The guy who is actually the actual name of the guy who's Caesar. He was just a LARPy cunt. You know, he was just kind of a LARPy power-hungry cunt and started a cult. And basically exactly what we have seen go down here happened there. Life imitates art, or art imitates life, or both. I don't know anymore. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Show. One of his Senate members was Mark Antonius. I'm just going to call him Mark for now. He was a pretty good developer on Roblox, and he was
He was a nerdy Mormon. Yeah, Mormons are religious fanatic, hyper-conservative weirdos. Yes. Trust me, as someone who's known a lot of Mormons, Florida is, you know, they got a good amount of Mormons in Florida. They're weirdos. Yeah, it's a cult. Mormonism is like Jehovah's Witnesses or Church of Scientology, where they're like a giga cult. Like not like a cult like how Christianity is, where at least it's like thousands of years old, which kind of the age of it lends it some credence to people. No, like Mormonism is literally like 100 years old, maybe 80 or 90 at this point, and a very new, like, it's very much a new cult. It might be like 150 years old by now, but yeah, it's completely just a pyramid scheme type modern cult that was founded and built in America. So yeah, Mormonism, awful, evil, horrible, cringe shit, and of course a Mormon would end up becoming a LARPy weirdo. Fallout New Vegas, most accurate Fallout game, fight me.
well experienced in coding, building, and designing on the game's engine. He had created a game for Your Caesar's Roman project, known as Roman Parthia. It was pretty revolutionary at the time. It was equipped with a resource-gathering system, an economy, custom-made weapons, and even a building system. And as a result, the game became very popular.
Actually, Mormonism was probably close to 300 years old, but regardless, very much like it started in America, and it was like started by a con man. It's all those type deal religions, where it's like some modern day in America con man started a cult.
Roblox themselves even made a video on their YouTube channel showcasing this game and its revolutionary technology. And as a result, this would bring so many new players to the game. And all of these people would eventually find themselves joining and participating in Your Caesar's Rome.
Get your comrades together and prepare for battle at Rome and Partha by Mark Antonius. In Rome and Partha, the objective is to team up and attack enemies, and clearly the setting is ancient Rome, so players have to craft their own swords, armor, shields, clothes, and tools from resources nearby. This is a nice break from first-person shooters, but it's still a blend of old and new, since it revisits classic sword fighting and introduces the concept of shields.
It's not AI, this is from back in 2008.
With this, players are given an excellent GUI and a gorgeous map. At the time of review, Rome and Partha had nearly 300,000 visits, and 84% thumbs up with no access fee. If you have a good group of friends and you like to raid, definitely give this game a try. It's entirely possible to go in solo and form a team on the fly, but it's probably better if you play with a group of players that you know and trust.
Caesar's Roman faction had exploded. It was pretty much the largest group at the time. Of course, this would feed his ego. He felt as if he had so much influence. And in reality, he did. He was seen as a pretty big figure throughout the group and on Roblox as a whole, but he was worried that rebellion would soon brew, a threat to his control. After all, in the TV show Rome, the emperor was betrayed, in real life too of course, but the TV show was Your Caesar's main point of influence, and he wasn't very fond of the idea of...
I really hope this all ends with just a bunch of his fucking homies backstabbing him. Please, please, just the poeticness of it. Please let this end in various betrayals bringing him down. It'd be just so fucking hilarious.
Being betrayed or losing his position of power. So he would enact some pretty major reforms in the group, most notably the organization of his Roblox army. The army was split between two.
White man has been here. How can you tell? VHS filter and editing. God damn it. You're so right.
Major distinctions. The legions and the paramilitaries. The legions were like regiments, each having their own number assigned to them, and each had their own officers. The paramilitaries, on the other hand, were a bit different, and as we'll find out later, they were pretty important in this story. The urban cohorts were pretty much like the police, who'd patrol the Roman Parthia game, cementing control over the civilian players. There was also a small navy, known as the Classis Italia, and the Lictors Guild, which was a group of guards in charge of keeping senators and important people safe. And finally, but most notably, the Praetorian Guardsmen. These guys would protect the emperor himself, along with his family. They were known for their heavy training and complete discipline. These guys would be on the game for almost 24/7, training and patrolling the game. They were dedicated to the empire. Along with the military, Your Caesar and his council of senators would also craft a set of laws that players would be forced to follow, or they would face persecution. The majority of these laws are just outright discriminatory, and they would set an almost dark tone over this Roblox faction. But it was all a part of Your Caesar's plan, his plan to have an ultra-loyalist group of people. In an uncovered Trello page, we are able to take a glimpse at some of these laws that were enforced. Some of the more notable laws included a strict skin color guideline, which forced all players to have only human skin colors.
I mean, at least you're allowed to have darker skin. Racist AF. Well, no, in the game, like, your skin color in Roblox, especially back then, could be, like, green if you wanted it to be. And so I guess he put in a rule that you had to have, you know, anywhere ranging from, like, light pink tan all the way down to, like, dark brown and everything in between. This is, like, pretty much every possible skin color that a human could have. So I don't, no one's excluded here in these rules, which is probably just because this Nazi dude wanted to have, like, he didn't want to, like, push people away from his big giant game everyone was joining. But yeah, that's definitely something.
From white to dark. However, players with a dark skin color were looked down upon and even banned from any positions of power. But another set of laws, known as degeneracy laws, were even worse. This set of laws was labeled as a way to outlaw all forms of degeneracy within the ranks of Rome. Listed as prohibited in the empire was the following: race mixing, feminism, homosexuality, and a pool of other things.
Dude, that's what Trump's gonna do. Well, yeah, holy shit, he's just like Trump.
I just can't really say on YouTube. And surprisingly enough, this is really just the beginning. As Your Caesar's Rome grew and expanded, it required more developers to maintain the games and assets. So he would recruit someone new, and his name was MathMinded. The first project that MathMinded embarked on was a game titled The Temple of Apollo. The purpose of this game was to document important events that happened during the lifespan of Your Caesar's Rome. It gives us a glimpse into this community, from the perspective of its leaders. The first mural within the temple is titled Hero of Rome. It showcased a man on a hill, being lit up by a beam of light. Above him are a set of figures. These figures represent some of the important gods in Roman mythology. According to MathMinded himself, the person on the hill is supposed to represent Mark Antonius, and how the gods supposedly chose him to build the Roman Parthia game. The next mural shows another man, possibly the same man from the previous mural, now rallying a large group of people behind him. And the next mural shows a clear representation of Your Caesar, now rallying an army of his own. The text Hail Rome appears next to him. But this next mural is definitely the most shocking, but it's going to help us unravel a part of this dark story. It shows a man ordering the death of another man, and the text above reads, Rope Day.
So, for those that don't know, oh, there he goes, he's saying it right there, Day of the Rope, but he has to censor it because Roblox has filters. So, Day of the Rope is a Nazi, like, God, I don't really know what you call it. It's like the Nazi goal, I guess. It gets explained. Okay, I'll let him explain it. It's what the Nazis are fighting for. The Day of the Rope is when they kill all the minorities and, like, progressives in mass executions. So you'll oftentimes see them saying, like, the Day of the Rope.
The Day of the Rope is a reference to the white nationalist book titled The Turner Diaries. The novel depicts a story of an alt history America, where a group of white nationalists rise up, take control of the government, and start a race war, as it's called. They would gather people who they deemed as race traitors and kill them. The day of these murders would be referred to in the novel as the Day of the Rope. In Your Caesar's Rome, the Day of the Rope was an event they had organized every so often.
One of these, that's a really important thing to know. You'll oftentimes see, like, conservatives and Nazis and, like, Nazi-adjacent conservatives cannot help themselves from talking about how much they, like, the Day of the Rope is, like, the goal, okay? That is their goal. They want nothing more than to be able to achieve that reality. And so a lot of conservatives, when you hear them talking about rope, like anything to do that sounds like the Day of the Rope, they're dog whistling to that particular demographic to let them know, hey, yeah, we're all out here waiting for this.
A video taken from one of these events would showcase just how dark this...
The Day of the Rope thing is not niche, to be very clear. Every single Nazi, period, knows what that term means and relishes in the thought of that day coming.
Group actually was. A group of soldiers would move throughout the map, chanting death to the race traitors as they marched. They would question civilians as they passed, and they would kill anyone who was suspected of being a race traitor. Although MathMinded had visualized these events in his Temple of Apollo, he wasn't exactly complicit. In fact, he had been accused of something that was completely unacceptable in Rome. He was, allegedly, homosexual. But when Your Caesar found out about this, he did something.
How close are we to it happening with Trump winning the entire government? Well, that's what the right has been gloating about, is that the Day of the Rope is finally coming, right? They've been saying, like, for example, there was the big mass text campaign that happened where a bunch of black students in schools around, like, 5th grade received text messages, like a mass send out of text messages telling them they've been selected after Trump's inauguration to pick cotton. Did you guys, I don't know how many of you were here for my segment covering that, but some, like, Russian group mass sent out texts that look like government, like, text notifications telling a bunch of majority black students in a bunch of schools around 5th grade, like very young kids, that they have been selected to be re-entered into, like, to enter into slavery, basically, because I guess slavery's coming back, I suppose, and it's just meant to be a scare tactic. On top of that, I don't know if you guys have also seen, but the term "your body, my choice," the Nick Fuentes phrase that he used in reference to, like, women losing autonomy, has blown up, like, beyond any other misogynistic phrase several hundred times over. Like, I believe it's like tens of millions of uses of the phrase since the election, and that was only a few days after. The right wants nothing more than to hurt people who are part of the groups that they consider degenerate or, evil or whatever, and they want nothing more than to gloat about their victories as well. It's not just enough that they win, they want to gloat about their victories and see people upset, like the left upset that they are, experiencing victories, yeah.
Something unexpected. Instead of immediately removing Math-Minded, he decided to reason with him. He had told Math-Minded that in order for him to stay in Rome, he had to become, quote, red-pilled, and he had to—
Your body, my choice doesn't even make sense because the man doesn't choose, nobody gets to. War Penguin. Don't try to rationalize it. The only reason Nick Fuentes and right-wingers are saying that is to upset women. The goal is to upset women. It's to not only lord over the fact that there are so many of them with such massive platforms, but that they are saying such horrific things so overtly, that they're so empowered to do so now, that they don't feel fear of retaliation for saying it. It's meant to be an announcement of victory. We don't have to hide it anymore,
to take the anti-gay pills as well, whatever this meant. Of course, Math-Minded wasn't exactly all too happy. The culture and the persecution against him had disgusted him, and so he would pack his bags and remove himself from this dark community. But it wouldn't be that easy for Math-Minded to escape. In fact, Caesar felt as if he still needed him in order to push this group forward. He was in need of the development that Math-Minded had provided, so he would do something. He would take things too far. Math-Minded sat in his home, knowing he can no longer be persecuted or harassed from this group of people any longer. At least, that's what he thought. Suddenly, the phone was ringing. Who could be calling this late? He didn't answer, but the caller had left a voicemail, so he walked over to the phone and opened the voicemail. What he heard was disturbing, to say the least.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. At the tone, please record your message.
You think you can run away, but you can't. See, what's gonna happen here is gonna start dealing with consequences. Those are coming. Shit will hit the fan. I really actually don't need you. But alright, if you want to continue this game.
Oh my god, you know who this reminds me of? We've banned like 4 or 5 of his alt accounts tonight, but he talks like Shadow Raven Studios a little bit. Okay, so this is pretty hilarious, but I will say it can also be pretty fucking scary. I imagine if you're in a situation like this and you're not used to it. This is why, especially if you're American, I advise you buy a gun. You live in America. Buy the thing that lets you press a button and end a life to protect yourself if it's necessary. Trust me, you'll feel a lot safer even if there are people that openly say that they want to find you and kill you. As someone who's been in that position and is always strapped, I promise you, it makes you feel a lot more secure.
Want to continue?
Do not buy a 3D print. I'm pretty sure 3D printing guns is a felony. So don't do that. No, don't 3D print your guns. Just buy one.
Just don't want to participate. You don't want to.
You can 3D print them, but
it is.
You gotta get it serialized.
Be my guest. Continue. Stay calm.
It was Caesar, who had somehow gotten access to his home phone number. He had demanded Math-Minded stop his, quote, degenerate actions and return to Rome to help with development.
This is your friend. I'm just calling to check.
I don't trust myself with owning a gun, though. Then get training. And if you mean that you think you'll kill yourself, then get therapy. Also, I need you to understand that I have one of the biggest running jokes in the right-wing gun community, or the gun community in general, which is really right-wing, is how often socialists say they love guns, but will also say they don't trust themselves to own a gun because they might shoot themselves. It is one of the biggest sources of giddy joy and joking hilarity that right-wing gun guys constantly joke about. Is because it's such a common trend that lefties will say, I love guns, I'm super pro 2A, but I'd never get one myself, I don't trust myself with it. Either indicating they aren't willing to go out and get the training and lessons necessary to be competent with a gun. And it's not a lot you need to know. You can be a real dumbass and still not shoot yourself with a gun. While also, the other implication would be that you don't trust yourself to have something that could end your own life, in which case you're basically, to them, it's just a loud announcement that people on the left, no matter how much they say they're pro-gun, are so weak-willed they couldn't own one because they're so afraid of killing themselves. And that may not sound like a big ooh to people here, but to like the vast majority of people, it makes people just laugh. I don't want to sound mean or anything. I'm just like iterating what I have seen. That take, I would encourage you to try to work on that scapegoat. I don't know why you don't trust yourself with a gun, regardless of what reason it is. Try to work on that. I don't have a gun because I work in a gun-free zone. Well, do you live in a gun-free zone? You don't have to take your gun to work. You're a doctor. You really probably should never do that, even if you were allowed to, considering, Hippocratic oath, I shall do no harm. Obviously, it would be justifiable if you had to defend yourself, but it's unlikely you'd need it. But for home defense, get yourself a shotgun or something, God, especially if you're a woman. Get yourself a fucking gun if you're a woman. Holy shit. Do you have any idea how much safer you'll feel once you have a gun? My mom, terrified of guns. Her entire life, terrified of guns. Horrified of them. Can't see videos of them. Doesn't like seeing them in movies or video games. Hates them. My 24th birthday had come around. I was super into shooting around that time. I was super into guns. I was going to the range all the time with friends. And I decided, Mom, for my birthday, would you please let me teach you how to shoot? We'll go to a range. I will teach you. I'll break down all the safety stuff. You've seen me shoot guns in a million videos I've sent you from the range. You know that I know what I'm doing. I'm standing here with no holes in me right now. All right, and it took a while, but she agreed to it, and I taught my mom how to shoot. She quickly fell in love. She went from terrified and hating guns and saying she wants to leave. She's just going to go into the lobby and wait for me to finish shooting as soon as she fires a shot, just to make me happy. So I load up a magazine. I hand her the gun. She knows what to do by that point because I've given her rigorous training with a fake gun. And so she does everything right. She fires a shot, then two, then three, then empties the magazine. And I can just tell by the look on her face. I just ask her rhetorically, do you want me to load you up another mag? Because the original plan was she'd fire one round and then go wait in the lobby until I was done. So she wouldn't have to be around the gunshots, wouldn't have to see the guns. Did she want anything to do with it beyond just pleasing me for my birthday by shooting one round? You want to know what she said in response when I told her, you want me to load the gun back up for you? She said, yes. Yes, please. And she continued to say yes when I'd asked her that for the next 4 mags of ammo. She fell in love, and she is now a gun owner and has never felt safer. She went from literally, just being a constant nervous wreck, which is a lot of women, compared to how men live their lives, nervous wreck. Went from being a general nervous wreck to just generally feeling a lot more secure and safe, just over the fact that, if the worst did happen, it's not a matter of all I can do is prevent and mitigate. If the worst comes to happen, I can defend myself. The best case scenario isn't just me being able to run away anymore. It's I can defend myself. Even if it's 2 or 3 way bigger guys breaking into my home, I can defend myself. And for a lot of women, that's got to be just a massive change in the general level of fear you experience on a daily basis. As a guy, I'm a little freaked out about the possibility. I live alone. Pretty freaked out about the possibility of a guy or anybody breaking into my home. This would be a pretty scary situation. But if you're a woman, oh my god, holy fuck. I can't imagine being able to, go to sleep without being afraid of the house getting broken into at night or something. I'd be living in constant fear, and a lot of women do. So get a gun. And more importantly, first, learn how to use one.
Call you a complete fucking, waste of time and energy, because that's really what you are right now. And so I really been done, and I know you're really busy, playing around with your these degenerates, with whoever you play games with behind our backs. So, I just want you to kind of fight your inner nature here and come back and I don't know, work on something with me, because I need to work on this with someone who has higher IQ than so.
He's guilt tripping this guy he needed to continue working on his Ancient Rome game. This is the developer for his Ancient Rome game that he's built his cult around. And this is him going from sending death threats to pleading messages to the guy, begging him to come back.
Did you check it in? Bye-bye.
But Ear Caesar didn't just stop after these voicemails. In fact, when Math-Minded logged into his Skype account, another surprise had been waiting for him.
It's been a long time since you abandoned me. Let me tell you something.
Oh, he's a Boogaloo boy. He's got a Hawaiian shirt on. People accused Wendigoon of being a Boogaloo boy because of this, and there's some tangential evidence. I doubt that he was, and if he ever was, he's probably not, like, right-wing anymore. But the idea was that, Wendigoon used to go by the name Boogaloo boy, and he always wears the Hawaiian shirts, which are also all the Boogaloo boys wear Hawaiian shirts, but his thing has always been horror, and Boogaloo is very much a horror thing, and it was spelled boy, B-O-I, like Boogaloo boy, like kind of a horror. When you think about it as a horror YouTuber, it's like, oh, yeah, that name probably isn't a reference to the Boogaloo boys. An unfortunate coincidence, most likely. But then there's also the Hawaiian shirt thing, which is two coincidences, but I think they are coincidences, considering, like, Wendigoon just seems to like Hawaiian shirts. I don't know. He just seems to like it. Boogaloo's not a horror thing. It's a reference to Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. Well, you hear Boogaloo a lot as, like, a horror thing. Like, Boogaloo, I see it, like, on Halloween things, like, especially this year. You see it on Halloween stuff. You see it on, like, the trick-or-treat bags and whatnot. It's kind of become a bit of a horror term. Like, Boogaloo, you've not heard that? It's in reference to Electric 2. Yes, I'm very aware. I'm very aware of Electric 2, Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. I'm very aware. I have also seen the term used a lot in horror content. Okay, maybe, damn, I guess Wendigoon's a Boogaloo boy, guys. You got me. Wendigoon's a Nazi, I guess. I've been destroyed in the marketplace of ideas.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm gonna send you videos and voice recordings of myself cursing you in the name and your family and everything. You won't get a nice video message like this. Come straight.
It's horror. I know, AKB. I'm being completely sarcastic right now. Wendigoon's not a Nazi, and Boogaloo has also obviously been used in a context of, like, campy, spooky, Halloween-y shit. People in chat are just like, they have to correct me. They have to. I've noticed it's like the most, it's like there's a worm that enters my chatter's brains, and at any opportunity where they think they can correct me on something, they have to. They have to do it. Please cite one example. The Halloween trick-or-treating bag I saw in Dollar Tree 3 days before Halloween a couple weeks ago. Like I mentioned in passing earlier, because that was the, like, first example that popped in my head, was a fucking black Halloween bag I saw at a Dollar Tree for trick-or-treating that had Frankenstein's monster on it, and in green, like, wavy blue Halloween-y text said, Boogaloo! Okay.
From my office.
Are we happy?
It's my office, by the way. This is the office of the Lego Rights Ministry. I've got my flag, as you can see. Alright, thank you.
One of the core and more memorable aspects of the group was, of course, its military. The organization and expectations of the legions were pretty thorough for its time. Legions were expected to muster around 5 to 10 soldiers minimum for every time they were called upon, and the only people who had authority to levy the legions were the Senate, or the Emperor himself. Legionary soldiers would frequent the Roman Parthia game, patrolling, training, and participating in events. Players felt a part of something bigger than themselves. The Roblox Roman Empire as a whole.
That is fundamentally why the right succeeds so hard. Like, this is such a great model for radicalization. It's the LARPing. As much as we talk about how cringe the LARPing is, there's a reason why, like, Hassan's sphere is the most successful left-wing sphere, and then the right is also so successful just as a whole. It's because they LARP so hard. People nowadays, especially online, are, like, massive losers with nothing going on in their lives, right? And with the daily life that the average person lives, especially if you're a guy, you're constantly thinking to yourself, like, oh, man, we're supposed to be doing more than this. We're supposed to be fighting for a cause. We're supposed to be dying in war, fighting for our country or something. There's a lot of dudes who genuinely think that way. And so they get attracted to this idea of just joining a movement, being part of something, right? And the, like, tanky, Stalinist, communist stuff is obviously the most popular progressive stuff online because it's so LARPy and there's such a sense of community around it. And if there's a sense of community, it will succeed online. And the right has always been LARPy like this, and so that's why they've succeeded so well online as well. People like LARPing. We make fun of it, we joke about it, we point and we laugh, but at the same time, as funny as it is and as ridiculous as it is, this is what actually attracts people hilariously.
Would rally hundreds of men, a crazy feat at this time. But what was an army in Roblox? I mean, I guess it was cool to walk around in Roman armor, but they did really have a greater purpose. In fact, Your Caesar's Rome wasn't the only ancient-themed faction at this time. There were maps.
Dude, this has gone from, like, full-on, like, Nazi LARP to full-on roleplay now.
So, for example, with the...
I feel like someone needs to clip... Hold on. Okay, purge everything out of your mind right now. Purge every bit of what we have just watched out of your mind, okay? Forget what video we are watching right now. Completely purge it. Clear your mind, alright? Now imagine that you are scrolling through Twitter. No context. You see a video posted, and you click it. And then this starts playing.
Prize. And they would capture the fort
from
with
this
ease.
moment.
The Swebby would just no match.
It's like those map pack clips. It's like those fucking backpack clips. You go from, like, showing the map of, like, Rome, pushing it, and then it switches to the Roblox gameplay for, like, a quarter of a second. Someone clip that and post it for me. Because that it is perfect. Just the, like, imagery that looks like something off the History Channel, and then it flips to the fucking Roblox gameplay for just a second before the video cuts to black and ends. Perfect meme video. Perfect meme clip. I need you to see what I am describing in my head and understand the comedy gold that this would end up being, okay?
Match for the Romans, to be fair. And this war would last only around 2 months. The Romans, of course, would win the war, and for now, the German tribe would be dealt with. But there was a much larger threat. A threat that could really challenge Rome's superiority over this genre of factions. Greece. More specifically, Sparta. They had a decently sized army. Of course, nothing compared to that of Rome, but they were a pretty dedicated set of people. They trained a lot, and they were on the game for a long time. Some factions were even active before Rome was a thing. To tame Greece would be very difficult. It consisted of many different factions, all blobbed together in this region. But your Caesar wanted to control this region in order to further cement his hegemony. Rome would send legions to divide and conquer the factions of Greece, without declaring any official war. The purpose of this was to bend the knee of Greece and force them to view Rome as superior.
I can't do this. I can't do this, man. Oh my god. This is too over the top for me, man. I'm crashing out. I'm crashing out. This is too fire for me, dude. I'm crashing out. Oh, Roblox. What is going on? This has been going on since 2008. This has been going on since Obama got elected the first time. 4 presidential administrations. This has been happening. And we're only just now finding out about it. Roblox has been having a Nazi LARPer war of like Roman and Greek LARPiness going on for like over a decade now. Oh my lord. Listen guys, I want y'all to check out this video yourselves because this channel is critically underrated. 25,000 subs on a video that's 2 weeks old. Dude, this right here, shame. Shame to progressive media viewers. This right here is why the online right is dominating. I'll notice that there is an audience for progressive content. And there'll be a video from a small creator that goes giga-viral, such as this one, that is from Root Media with 25,000 subscribers. This video's gotten 700,000 views. Assuming he only had 0 subs when he uploaded, that is an insanely small proportion of people who watched this ridiculously well put together video and then decided, you know what? I'm not gonna hit the like button. I did. I'm not gonna subscribe like I just did. I'm not gonna turn on the notifications button. Because I don't need to. Who cares? And that is why the left is at such a disadvantage. Such a great video, such a awesome, like, so high production value, so much work put in, clearly all scripted and edited and all that. So much research was done. It gets so many views, and they only have 25,000 subs. I'm not shitting on them for having that few. I'm shitting on the people that watched the video and didn't support the channel. This is the shit that's, like, killing the online left. I'm going to rant about this every opportunity I get, because if it doesn't change, then it's over, dude. The right wins the information war online. We might never win another election unless, like, unless Trump handles America so badly in the next 4 years that we don't need to do any messaging to win the next election. It's going to be bad if things don't start to change. Like, dude, what the fuck? How did less than 25,000 people out of 700,000 watch this video and not hit sub? That is a problem, dude. That is an issue. At least 37,000, including me, hit the like button, but that's still a small proportion of 700K, dude. Man, I don't know. Listen, I get more upset about the low engagement when I see it in other creators, particularly when they put so much more effort in their content, right? Like, I don't know. Like I can tell he put, like, what for me would be a month's worth of effort of streams alone into that video, and got, like, what, 10, 20 K subs off of it, maybe? Like, dude, man, it's so frustrating, bro. It makes me a little motivated to be a progressive content creator, but I don't even know where I'd start. Prepared videos, trust. Prepared videos are where you start. You can't start streaming right off the bat. You won't have anyone watching. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this segment, like I mentioned before, consider hitting the like button, subscribe, ring the bell icon, turn on all notifications, and leave a comment. I highly recommend you go check out that channel as well, as they could definitely use more of a boost to their engagement and their sub count. They deserve it, and goddamn do we need to start encouraging the culture of the left to be far more charitable and supportive of the figures that are currently fighting and struggling to reach a large audience. The only figures out there that are getting a large audience on the left on YouTube are you know, Hassan, I guess, and people like H-Bomber Guy who upload once or twice a year. Can't really do much on YouTube with that. You can get a big audience, but you can't dominate the platform with uploads that infrequent. It's just how the platform works. So yeah, D'Angelo's picking up. That's true, but he doesn't really... yeah, no, he's pretty lefty, actually. No, I'd say that counts, yeah. D'Angelo Wallace is technically a lefty channel. Vosh and Hassan being our main guys is terrible for us. True, yeah. The like Vosh lolly porn folder is definitely probably not going to make the left look very known lawyer, such as Legal Eagle, who made a video called All the Crazy Stuff Trump is Going to Do. It's blown up. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's watching it. It's doing really well right now, which of course I love to see. And we love some Legal Eagle, so I am excited to check out this video and see what the deal is all about. All the crazy stuff that Trump is going to do. Obviously, we know a lot of the things he's promised, especially when it comes to his econ stuff. That's been a big part of the discussion lately, since his economics are probably what won him the election. And man, the people who voted for him thinking it's going to be good for the economy are in for a rude awakening. And one we're going to laugh at a lot. Yeah, we're going to be laughing a lot at the Trump supporters finding out what a tariff is. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They'd be doing the same to us if the roles were reversed. So we're going to laugh very hard at them. But with that said, what other things do we have to look forward to? Let's find out.
This is going to be so bad. Well, get ready for Trump's Project 2025, because Trump surrogates are already admitting that Project 2025 was the plan the whole time. But yeah.
Yeah, well, part of this was also so we can admit that we are going to implement
Trump surrogates are already admitting that Project...
It is my honor to inform you all that Project 2025 was real the whole time.
2025 was the plan.
Now that the election is over, I think we can finally say that, yeah, actually Project 2025 is the agenda, lol. So these are all figures who obviously, like I've talked about throughout many of my streams, they got really big off of this, like, denying that this is the kind of stuff they want to do, like hyper-authoritarian, like, overreaches of power and whatnot. They've always denied that this is what they wanted, particularly when the left challenged them by saying this is what they wanted to do. And they would slyly smirk at you and say, no, that's not what I want to do. But the smirk wasn't as, like, just to be affable or nice, the smirk is to send you the message that they know you know what they are. And to communicate with no words what is going on. That the audience has fallen for their ruse and are buying into an ideology that is certainly not best for them. They know you recognize it and can't do a thing about it, and they want you to be mad about it, and that it brings them joy. And so tweets like this, and like the Nick Fuentes tweet about your body, my choice, play into that. Now they can finally drop that and admit, and with the lull at the end, it's like, aren't you lefties triggered? We denied this the whole time. We tricked the American people into thinking Project 2025 was just some meme the Dems were freaking out over. But yeah, it was the objective the whole time. Get wrecked, libs. Of course, literally admitting that they lied to the American people that voted for their guy, and now they're able to finally be honest about what they're fighting for. It's also that kind of, there's a little bit of catharsis there of like, oh yeah, you were right the whole time, lefties, but it's already too late. That's part of the sort of rubbing the salt in the wound.
And the whole time. But yeah, this is going to be terrible, and not in a politics as usual way. If you win the presidency, you get to issue your own executive orders and rescind the prior guys and sign legislation into law. If you're elected, you get to pull the levers that Congress has delegated to you. To the victor go the spoils. But what we're about to see is changing the rules midstream. What we're about to see is pure dirty pool. This is gonna be bad. And I feel comfortable using that normative language because what we're about to see is not only someone who is unbound by laws, mores, norms, and tradition, but someone that controls all three branches of government. And this is a type of unmitigated control. It's a type we've never really seen in this country. And in particular, because a lot of this deals with and relies on the judiciary, it will take probably 40 years to undo what's about to happen. But because I'm a masochist, I compiled a list of all the crazy legal stuff that I expect in the...
We're likely, like, if you're 25, 26 years or older, you're never going to live to see a not hard red Supreme Court. Sadly, we are fighting for a future we don't get to live to see anymore. That's this election settled. We will never live to see the future we're fighting for. It's for future generations. We are solely fighting for future generations now. We'll never see that future or anything close to it. We're going to be clawing our way out of a deep hole until we are dead, and it'll be our grandchildren that might be able to think about making progress again. That is completely true. We will not have a not hard red Supreme Court for at least 50 years, I believe. They're looking to put at least 3 decades younger Supreme Court justices in place when Alito and Clarence Thomas step down. So yeah, it's going to be... Yeah. Not great. Pretty bad.
First few years of these...
We could stack the court, but that might also be a worry, considering, what if this happens again? Then you've got a stacked red court, right?
Second Trump administration. Now this will be an unusual video because I'm making some...
Like we could add seats, then you've got it's even worse, right? We could try to counter this. I don't think the Supreme Court, as it exists today, should exist. There should not be lifetime appointments. I don't think it should be okay for the left to be able to stack the court or the right. I get that sounds like cringe to say the left shouldn't be able to do it, but if the left can do it, so can the right, and that's too dangerous. I don't like the stacking the court thing. I don't like adding a new seat, because that could get dangerous as well. There's some riskiness there. What if you just lose all the seats then, right? Now there's an extra seat that even if you start to retake the Supreme Court with an administration that can make some appointments, you're fucked. I think it's probably best to try to... God, I don't know how you'd even begin to do it, but try to fight to have there be term limits in the Supreme Court. Like 5 to 6 years would probably be reasonable. Because lifetime appointments is just... Good God. Who the fuck came up with lifetime appointments to the Supreme Court? Whose idea was that, specifically? Which founding father came up with it?
Guesses here. Politics is not an exact science, and law is the byproduct of politics. So these are just my predictions, and we can check back in a year or two and see how we did. Frankly, I think I'm going to underestimate the amount of crazy stuff that's about to happen. Now, there's 3
Yeah, lifetime appointments for an unelected position. Yeah, very good point, Heavy Gretel. Like, one of the weirdest, most anti-American things in America. It's so bizarre.
Categories of things that I expect. The first is things that Trump can do immediately without further approval, like executive orders. Then there's stuff where it's unclear if approval is needed, it's a legal gray area, or you can just force it through illegally, especially if you have a compliant judiciary. And then there's stuff that would definitely require further approval from something like Congress, things like passing legislation. But let's start with the executive. First of all, the guardrails are gone. There are not going to be any adults in the room. It appears that Trump has learned his lesson from hiring institutionalists the first time around and is just going to hire every toady and troll he possibly can. And as we'll discuss, there's a very good chance that he fires a lot of the nonpartisan career civil service. He would certainly fire Jack Smith immediately if Jack Smith is still there. And as we covered in one of the last videos, it looks like Jack Smith may not be around because of the interplay between the 1973 OLC memo and the fact that it's DOJ policy.
We covered a video from Legal Legal recently about how Trump's never going to be able to go to jail now. Like, he's now free of every possible thing he could have been charged with. He ran out the clock perfectly. He got away with it. All of it. Everything. And so, yeah, like, Legal is pretty pissed. As a guy who spent his whole life studying the law, gaining a respect for it, and the rule of law, you can imagine that it's pretty disappointing to see the American people elect a guy who is antithetical to it and yet simultaneously utilizes it as a rhetorical ploy to trick people into supporting him.
That the executive branch can't prosecute the president himself. And on that score, I'd probably expect pardons for the January 6ers and other reprobates. Now, usually presidents wait to issue pardons until the end of their term, but Trump is already a lame duck. And since some of those prosecutions are going on right now, you might expect the pardons sooner rather than later. It would also be super trolly and lib triggering, so that's another reason why I expect Trump to do it. Now, I don't really expect him to pardon himself, except maybe on the way out to pardon himself for everything that he does between 2025 and 2029. Mainly because he doesn't need to pardon himself for anything he did prior to taking office because he has escaped justice. All the federal prosecutions are dead because he was elected, and the state prosecutions are probably on hold, but are effectively dead because they can't prosecute while he's president either. Presumptively. I mean, we don't know how the Supreme Court will rule, but we definitely know how the Supreme Court would rule. You can expect
I fucking love that line. We don't know how the Supreme Court would rule, but we definitely know how the Supreme Court would rule. Perfect fucking line. Couldn't have put it better myself, Legal. God, I love this man. I hope I get to meet him one day. I'm so glad one of the most, respected content creators on this platform just is this base. I guess you have to be pretty base to be this educated. But no, there are plenty, listen, Ben Shapiro is Harvard educated and is yet still one of the most prominent conservative pundits out there. But, you know, what I mean, right? Like, it's expected that someone as smart as Legal would happen to be progressive. It's just nice because so many well-educated, affluent people are gravitating towards right-wing politics to make easy money, and I'm glad Legal hasn't done that. He's just breaking down the objective laws that Trump is regularly breaking and how anti-America Trump objectively is. Because any conversation about how you have to be fair to Trump is already biased. Trump has long since superseded the barrier of any charitability. He's crossed that line a long time ago. Anyone who tries to play the charitable character for Trump is either woefully uninformed or willfully dishonest. And you have to know what you're dealing with before you start dealing with it.
It's a complete clown show of a cabinet. At this point, all the respectable people and institutionalists have learned their lesson and know that Trump has no loyalty, so they don't want anything to do with him, and Trump doesn't want anything to do with them. Now, we already know a few. Marco Rubio has been pegged for Secretary of State. Homeland Security and Chief Puppy Killer Kristi Noem. Tom Homan has been pegged as the border czar. He wrote the immigration.
Tulsi got appointed to be head of U.S. intelligence. Awful, horrible. Tulsi is the most Russian paid fucker in our government. Even more Russian bought out than Trump, than Jill Stein. Tulsi is currently probably fucking Putin right now.
Section of Project 2025, by the way. And drink up, kids, because Matt Gaetz is gonna be.
Forgive me for my crassness, but clearly the left needs to start getting a little edgier if we're gonna succeed. But I would even go so far as to say that Tulsi is Putin's whore. Genuinely bought out by Russia, anti-American, horrifying someone like that is now in charge of U.S. intelligence. Our country is in objectively awful hands. Like he said, there are no adults in the room. Our government is about to be a toy to be played with by children for about 4 years. 2 at least.
BAG. So expect a whole bunch more in Project 2025, folks, as well as appointments doled out as political rewards to reward people who were loyal to Trump. And, oh my God, he's nominating Fox morning anchor Pete Hegseth to Secretary of Defense. This is definitely the bad place. And while Trump has a Senate majority to rubber stamp most of his appointments, he appears to be demanding that the Senate enter a recess so he can appoint everyone with a recess appointment without Senate confirmation at all, which tells you something that some of these people are going to be so unpalatable that even a Republican-controlled Senate would not consent to them. And as I said, expect a complete gutting of the administrative state, just firing any career civil servant who isn't out and out loyal to Trump and MAGA. Now, this is going to be a high priority for Trump because during his first term, his ambitions were thwarted by people who weren't blindingly loyal. And as our own Liz Dye explained, Project 2025 is not just a
Zan, you forgot RFK Jr. in his that he will affect food, drug, and water medicine. Oh, Delancer, don't you worry. I haven't forgotten. In fact, literally just today in the announcements section of my Discord, I posted this image and captioned it, "Me after eating any food or taking any medicine regulated and handled in America after Trump takes office." And then I posted this image. Trust me, I've not forgotten that RFK is going to be in charge of our food and medicine. The worms! The worms! The worms are back! The worms!
Policy blueprint. It was also meant as a recruiting tool to help identify people who are all in on Trumpism. And the end goal is to get rid of all civil servants and replace them with right-wing ideologues. So on day one, expect Trump to reinstate his Schedule F, which he did at the end of his first term, which is a Trump executive order that purports to let him reclassify a ton of federal employees, as many as 50,000 of them, to be treated the same as political appointees. So
do you guys remember how Betsy DeVos handled the Department of Education when Trump was president the first time? How bad it got, how awful she was. Now, I want you to imagine it's 10 to 100 times worse. That will give you an idea of what it's about to be like.
He can fire them. Generally, civil servants have some protections, but political appointees can be hired and fired at will by the president. This executive order basically removed all the protections and said that they were treated the same as political appointees. Trump first issued this executive order in October of 2020. Biden rescinded it, and then the Office of Personnel Management issued a rule that says the president cannot reclassify employees for arbitrary reasons. But Trump is obviously going to challenge that in court, or he could simply promulgate a new rule. Now, to do this, Trump would need to ignore the APA and the regulatory framework of the civil service protection. But Trump can try a ton of things, including arguing that he has broad authority to ignore the APA for national security reasons.
I will say it's scary to me that, like, so many YouTubers on the left have been saying, there's not that much to worry about with a Trump presidency. There's going to be a lot of mud. There's going to be a lot of roadblocks. And I've believed that. But this lawyer is telling us, guys, it's going to be bad. That scares me, guys.
Emergency reasons. And if Trump just simply fires all those people and lets them battle it out in court, then the battle is won anyway. He either has to undo the Office of Personnel Management and Regulation through rulemaking, which would take some time, or he'll have to ignore the existing reg, which is legally impermissible, technically. Now, the norm for basically forever was to leave the career staff in place so the government could actually function from one administration to the other. And this would be a monumental shattering of norms. But this appears to be part of a larger plan to gut the administrative state to make it not work at all. Trump might just fire them all without bothering to replace them with ideologues.
A big part of this is Trump's end goal and the Republicans' end goal is probably to destroy the federal government, realistically. I don't think the Republicans sincerely believe they can conquer America. Their ideology isn't even the most popular. Even after this election, I don't think they believe that. I think they fully understand they won by the skin of their teeth and on a single issue, that if they had not campaigned on that issue as hard as they did, they would have lost, and probably by a lot. And that was the economy. If they hadn't pushed the economy as hard as they did, if they had pushed culture war issues as hard as they did in 2020, they would have lost. They would have. The Republicans would not have pushed the right messaging to the people to get the vote. The thing that people voted for, much more than immigration, Wingo. Far more than immigration. Immigration actually polled lower than we expected. Before the election, immigration polled as like a second-rate issue, maybe the top issue. It actually came out to be like third or fourth, maybe fifth on a lot of exit polls from the actual ballots, like ballot box areas. It actually wasn't that high of an issue, but everything unanimously confirmed, both before and after the election, that the biggest polling issue, the wedge issue that would win whichever candidate won the election, was the economy. Would the perception that Harris was that the Dems had done badly for the economy ruin Harris? Or would Trump's awful handling of COVID back in 2020 lose him would the talking points not work about the economy because of how he handled COVID? That was the big question. Everyone knew the economy would be one of, if not the biggest issue to decide the election results. I just don't think a lot of people expected that so many Americans would fall for Trump's lies about the economy.
Or require a loyalty oath from everyone. The departments are funded by Congress, but it's up to the executive to run them. And I really hope you don't rely on the government or interface with it, because there's a good chance that large swaths of the government simply won't work soon. And there's also been talk that security clearances would be given out by fiat without any background check or based on a paltry background check completed by a hand-picked private firm rather than the FBI. The subtext being that many folks would not be able to receive a security clearance through normal channels. Not to mention, this would also be an easy way to punish detractors by removing clearances or preventing them from getting a security clearance. And also expect Trump to remove any protections for whistleblowers, which he can simply do through executive order. And speaking of a clown car cabinet, it appears that RFK Jr. is slated to be the head of the CDC, the FDA, and God only knows what else. Now, historically, the Supreme Court has sided with state authorities to mandate vaccines to protect public health. But that consensus was unsettled after COVID when some courts struck down vaccine mandates. Now, RFK Jr. said he will be given the authority to ban vaccines.
There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
And who?
It's about to be a crazy next 4 years, dude. So many Americans are going to die. And when the families of those Americans that voted Trump, they're like, we didn't vote for this. We didn't vote for this. Our baby died of measles. We didn't vote for this, Donald Trump. You're going to be like, oh, no, yeah, you did. Now put your kid in the coffin. Cry about it. You voted for this. That is how the left needs to be in the coming years, okay? Merciless. Bully these people. Kick them while they are down, man. Kick them while they're down, because they are doing the same thing to you right now. The people who voted for Trump right now are the ones coming in and telling you and laughing at you for how upset you are over these results. So when the karma catches up to them, you kick them while they're down, because they did the same to you. No empathy for these people. They have zero empathy already. Their vote tells you that they have no empathy. Have none for them, because they have none for you.
Who knows here? The Food and Drug Administration has the primary responsibility for approving vaccines and pulling them from the market. It works in concert with the Center for Disease Control, and we don't know what role, if any, Trump is going to...
No scapegoat. Trump won the election fair and square. We're going to talk about that in a segment after this one. Election denial from the left, but no. No, we should not try to literally steal the election from Trump. It's just, there's no legal bounds to do so. Trump won the election fair and square, just like Biden did. And just like Trump failed to overturn the election results, Biden would as well, or Harris would as well. The results are what they are. Trump won, and the American people, for very, in hindsight, understandable reasons, though they are dumb and wrong, voted for who they voted for. And it shouldn't surprise us now knowing what the highest polling issue was in this election, the economy, and what Trump promised, a better economy. What Harris did not focus a lot of her rhetoric on, at least what didn't get a lot of attention from most of the media, which was her wanting to focus on building up the economy. Instead, it was constant narratives about how bad the economy is under Biden and Harris, and about how Trump is making crazy promises about how he's going to fix it. In hindsight, it shouldn't surprise you where the American people sent their vote.
Give Kennedy, but if given the authority, look for him to take over systems like the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, which monitors adverse reactions to vaccines. RFK also has antidepressants and fluoridated water in his sights as well. And I'm sure despite the dubious legality of these efforts, this will be bolstered by the judiciary, because as we saw with the battle over abortion drugs, some judges are eager to get involved in making safety determinations themselves instead of relying on decades of research. Now, despite the advice of every economist on the planet and anyone who knows how tariffs work, Trump is all in on tariffs. And this is one area where Trump actually might have the ability to implement tariffs without any further approval. The Trade Expansion Act of 1962, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, and the Trade Act of 1974 give the president authority to impose tariffs for national security reasons or in response to unfair trade practices. Trump used this discretion in 2018 to impose tariffs on steel and...
I hope so many Trump supporters think that the economy is about to take off under Trump and are buying as much as they can right now. The economy, every index fund is at an all-time high right now because Bidenomics works, right? Under Trump, it was at the biggest low in, God, I think since 2008. The S&P 500, which is my go-to index fund for investment, just tanked in 2008, and it tanked back down to that point in 2020 and early 2021 with Trump's handling of COVID and with the war that started in 2021 as well with Ukraine and Russia when Russia invaded. So it's now at an all-time high. So I really hope that conservatives thinking that like the S&P is going to skyrocket under Trump because he's so good for the economy and Trump always loves to tout how good he is for the stock market. I hope they're buying right now. Just buying as much as they can, which it seems they are because, the shares are going up. Things are doing well. I hope they're buying as much as they can right now, investing all their life savings as much as they can under the certainty, because they're so certain that Donald Trump's going to make the economy amazing. I hope they're investing all their money. And I cannot wait for when the stock market crashes. Maybe, God, I don't even know how long Trump will be in office before the stock market crashes. I guess it depends on how long it takes till he implements the tariffs. Man, I really cannot wait to see the chuds mauled over their stock losses when Trump takes office. And I can't wait for them to cope. They're going to cope about how Trump's going to fix it. And in like less than a year, they're going to be able to sell and everything's going to be great. They're going to make all their money back and much more profit. And then years are going to go by of them continuously losing value. And it might take multiple Dem administrations just to get things back up to where they were, and they will never make their money back. Oh, man, please tell me the chuds are so confident in Trump they're investing their life savings in stocks right now, thinking Trump's going to be so great for the stock market. Please! I cannot wait to see these fuckers go negative. Please! Oh, it's going to be so good.
Aluminum imports and on a range of Chinese goods. He cited national security reasons for slapping a 25% tariff on steel and a 10% tariff on aluminum. And will he do it again? Well, yeah, probably. Now, I would actually be surprised if Trump implemented a large tariff on all.
He claims he wants to tariff everything manufactured in China and retailed here, 20 to 60%, and he wants to tariff 20 to 60% on inputs, meaning the raw resources we would use for manufacturing and sale here, or even exporting to sale overseas. So everything that comes from elsewhere, whether it's a product that's already made, or if it's the raw resources to do the manufacturing here, it's getting tariffed. If it's from, well, Trump suggested a lot of countries to tariff. And even right now, the EU is worried that Europe's going to get tariffed by Trump too. And if that happens, dude, our economy is fucked. Whatever chance at American manufacturing you thought we had, we're going to lose that shit. Oh my God, are we going to lose that shit? It'll never end, especially if inputs are tariffed. It'll never be cheaper to manufacture here than overseas. They'll just start manufacturing in like Taiwan or something. Trump wants to defund social safety net, which closes the ER and all of the US hospitals. Oh yeah. Dude, Americans are going to die in droves and swaths so fast once Trump takes office. I'm genuinely curious to see, like, man, do we see, like, an unprecedented, overwhelming movement to oust the sitting president, unlike anything America's ever seen? Like, what happens when, like, 90% of Americans are screaming for the current president to be impeached? Like, threatening to not re-elect their House speakers or their, senators if they don't vote for impeachment, too. Would they have to vote for impeachment, like House and Senate? Yes, because they're so afraid. Because 90% of the U.S. wants Trump gone. That could happen. If this ends up being as bad as Trump and everyone seems to predict Trump promises and everyone predicts it'll be, then there's a chance that we could see an unprecedented ousting of the sitting president due to popular support by the people. Which has happened before, technically. There's been impeachments, but just a full-on, like, the people are done. Like, you lied to us. You've become so unpopular that we are going to push to oust you from government. We are going to pressure the House and Senate to vote on impeachment and impeach you. Like, that would go crazy. That would be a pretty amazing end to the Trump saga. Is that the American people so wholeheartedly rejected him while he was sitting in office, he got kicked out.
all foreign-made goods, simply because tariffs are taxes on the goods imported from foreign countries, and the foreign countries won't be paying them. Those added costs are always passed on to the consumer. And we're already hearing from businesses who are preparing for the tariff era by buying extra products now to avoid paying tariffs next year. So when businesses and consumers actually figure out how tariffs work and complain about the astronomically high prices, you can probably expect some symbolic tariffs, but probably not the across-the-board tariffs and replacing of the entire American tax system that Trump has been arguing for. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Republicans...
Never say never. Listen, people say Trump can't destroy the tax system, that Trump can't do all these overwhelming things that will destroy the country because they're just so crazy. If back in 2016 I said there's going to be a worldwide pandemic, Trump won't respond to it right, and by 2024, 1.7 million Americans will have died from the plague that will spread through the country, and we will still not have dealt with it. It'll be a recurring disease that'll never leave, and the death toll will keep rising indefinitely. We never dealt with it. It's just still around. It's just like a permanent mass killer of people in the first world. If I told you this, that would be a result of Trump's presidency in 2016, if I said that to a platform, people would have called me crazy. How could the president have enough power to mishandle something like that and it affect not only the whole country, but the whole world to such a degree? No one would buy it. No one would believe it. It's so crazy. It's so catastrophic. No one would, it's just too crazy to believe to be possible because nothing ever happens, right? After that, man, I don't know if I believe that Trump would be stopped from dismantling the IRS. I would not be surprised if there isn't an IRS anymore after Trump leaves office. Donald Trump, for his buddies, his billionaire buddies, and himself, why would he want to leave office and there still be an IRS? When he is going to have enough governmental power to dissolve these institutions that regulate his businesses, that force him to pay taxes, do you think he's going to leave the office without having destroyed those institutions? No IRS means no taxes. I'm happy. Father Gucci, that sounds good for about 5 seconds, and that is exactly what Trump supporters thought when they voted for him. No taxes, that makes me happy, until you find out that every single expert that knows how this country and the economy runs is now saying, well, you guys voted to destroy the entire country. It was good while it lasted, guys. GG. If Trump does what he promises, it's literally over. You guys literally got bribed with, like, ice cream for dinner and didn't even think for a second about what that might do to you and why you don't generally give kids ice cream for dinner. You literally got bribed into voting for a guy that is about to make you heavily regret it. That's all I can say. This is off topic, but aren't you technically Gen Z, Zan? Yes, I am Gen Z. I'm 25. I was born in 1999. It makes me Gen Z. Technically. Older Gen Z.
Republicans wanted free trade. And honestly, I kind of want to see him go whole hog on tariffs because the inflationary effects would be so big and would happen so fast. It might destroy the economy, but the fire would burn really bright.
You saying the Trump voters got in the white van? Yes. Donald Trump rode up in a white van with shoddily drawn in black paint, or like sprayed in black spray paint, free candy. He pulled up and like the majority of Americans who voted got in the van. That is what happened.
Now, obviously, if you're going to destroy the federal government from the inside, you'd want a good lawyer. But if you want a great lawyer, my law firm, the Eagle Team, can help. If you've gotten in a car crash, suffered a...
I love Legal. This is probably where I'm going to cut off the segment because A, I don't want to, just yoink the whole video, and B, the segment is getting a bit long, and I got to send these to my editor, and they take a while to upload and render. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but, like, Google is trying to kill file sharing, it feels like peer-to-peer file sharing. Like, oh, do you have a video you recorded you want to send to your friend? Oh, sorry, files are too powerful for Discord. Oh, do you try to email it to your friend? Oh, well, that's like 5 gigs, so you've just used like half of your bandwidth that you have on your entire Google account. Do you want to buy a better service or delete like every email you've ever received to make room for what you want to send? It's like, dude, what the fuck? And then if you get Google Drive and do what I do, which is pay like $100 a year or something for like Google Drive Ultimate, where you've got like 2 terabytes of space and some pretty good like benefits. That's how me and my editor like get like my segments uploaded. I upload them to Drive and he downloads them, edits them, uploads them to YouTube. Now Google Drive is dedicating so little, or Google is dedicating so little bandwidth to peer-to-peer file transfer that now I'll upload a video into Google Drive, and the next morning you can't download it because it's still processing. I'm not joking. We've missed upload times because like 14 or 15 hours before a video needed to go out, I sent it, and it sat there processing all night into the morning, and it's still not done processing. Can't even be downloaded to begin to be edited and uploaded. And Google's just like, sorry, come back later. Sorry, I know this has been sitting, it's a 30-minute video that's been sitting in here for 14 hours and isn't ready to be downloaded yet, despite it having uploaded in 5 minutes. Yeah, sorry. It's literally all Google's end with processing. I don't know what is going on, but RIP peer-to-peer file transfer, Google is killing that shit. Enjoy it while you still can, because pretty soon you're gonna have to pay like $300 a year to get a service that lets you send like a 2 gigabyte file to your friend. Because that, like, companies are going to lock down behind high fucking payment subscriptions any service that allows you to send a large file to somebody else. That shit is going to become a very, very expensive thing. $300 a year, $300 a month. Yeah, honestly, that's not far off. Yeah, I have like a bulk discount due to like Google offers a thing where if you pay for the whole year, then it's a bit less. So that's what I did, just because, you know, it's for work. You can write off stuff like that on your taxes too, because if it's for work, it counts. So it's just beneficial to do it that way for me. But yeah, it's if you paid for like it is more like $300 to $500 a year. But if you paid for it straight up, like the what is it, $40 a month, $70 a month, something like that? Yeah, it would probably come out to like $500 a year. Damn, yeah. With the climate they're gonna grow up in, Gen Alpha is doomed. Real. Yeah, very fucking real. Gen Alpha is in a bad spot. I feel bad. I feel genuinely bad. I thought Gen Z had it rough. Gen Alpha is gonna come into a world that's just, they won't even know how fucking bad it got. But I guess generations before said the same thing about this one, and you know, people in chat now. So I guess nothing really has changed, because things are always changing. If nothing had changed, then that would be the first time nothing changed, or something changed, if that makes sense. Anyway, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub, by the way. Oh wait, no, I already read that one, my bad. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this segment, if you thought it was entertaining, enjoyable, educational, whatever it may be, consider dropping a like. Every single thumbs up, you can consider like casting a blue ballot for YouTube to push my content to more people and get it in front of more people's eyes. If we're gonna fight against the right's domination of the internet with their misinformation machine, we got to put our pedal to the metal. We gotta be hitting the like button and commenting and subscribing to all of our favorite progressive content creators, because man, we gotta grow. I'm not just saying that because I'm a content creator and I want to grow. I do, to be very clear, I do. But simultaneously, as a progressive, I don't want to see the right have a monopoly over messaging on the internet anymore. So let's change that. Hit those buttons, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow my social medias linked down below if you want to see more from me on other platforms. And of course, don't forget to join my fan Discord if you haven't already. It's the main hub of my community and fan base, and on top of that, I host game events, call-in streams, and watch parties there every week on Fridays. Or watch parties every week on Fridays. Like tonight, after stream tonight, we're going to be doing a very competitive and ruthless online game. That is like with my friend Ethan, right? And man, first couple days of playing that game were like a lot of 1 or 2 kill games after nearly 30 rounds of the potential to get up to 5 kills per round. It goes to show that I was not doing well when I started out. And even though it happened way sooner than I expected, me and my editor / best buddy Ethan, we just kept on running our matches of Valorant, and every time I'd fuck up and die because of a dumb mistake, Ethan would tell me what I did wrong, and I would evaluate what caused me to fail, and I'd do my best to remember not to do that again. And eventually it became second nature not to do that kind of thing again that would get me killed, right? And it's thing after thing, but over time, eventually, on my 4th day of playing the game, pistol round of the Switch, in the second half of the match, I end up getting my first ace. That was last night. I got my first ace in pistol round. I felt amazing. The entire enemy team running down a hallway at me, and I just keep jitter peeking outside of from outside a box and just keep tapping their heads until all of them are dead. I've never felt oh my god, did it feel good. To go from sucking shit to getting my first ace, and the whole process was evaluating my mistakes so that I know what I did wrong and know what not to do. A lot of it is not knowing what to do, but what not to do. And eventually I got my first ace, and boy did it feel good. I know this sounds like a very non sequitur story, but it's actually very important. If you want to get better at something, if you want to succeed, you have to accept your failures. You have to accept fault in your failures. And then you have to evaluate your failures and understand what you did wrong and desperately avoid making the same mistake in the future, because that's how growth and skill is gained. The right has had a lot of failure in politics over the last 2 decades. Like, a lot of failures. And instead of denying that their methods were not working and that the right was becoming a dying breed of old man politics, they rapidly embraced what worked so well for the left, which is embracing younger, hip cultural things, because younger generations have always tended to be more progressive. They tended to have so much influence. So they heavily leaned into the what's up fellow kids thing for like over a decade, and now we are where we are now with Gen Z. So I think it's very important that we don't, like, someone raging, like saying, oh no, I died because of lag, bro, I died because of lag, I didn't do anything wrong there, I'm good, I'm the best at the game, I'm so good at the game, I did nothing wrong, and it was just lag. You know, instead of saying that, you say, okay, so why did the people vote for Trump? Oh, the economy? Why did people think Trump would be better for the economy? Oh, he promised that he would use tariffs to make everything cheaper. That's not a thing. Okay, so the American people were fooled by Trump into thinking that his economic policy would be good for the economy, and that was enough for them to vote en masse for him. Okay, so it was the economy stuff, and it was a lie, too. So clearly we have an issue of messaging with people. We can't reach people to tell them what Trump told them was a lie, and Donald Trump's messaging, despite how overtly hateful it was, the economy angle was so successful, it pulled people who would otherwise be offended by what he was saying towards voting for him, because they're so desperate to line their own pockets. It's about, you gotta learn. We gotta learn from our mistakes. Anyway, let's watch this video, learn about the left doing election denial, and how it is not helping us, because that's how I would explain it. I want to hear how Rabbithole explains it.
Baseless conspiracies about this year's presidential election have spread all over social media. They claim that unseen, nefarious forces tampered with the results of the election. People believe it was stolen, calling into question the legitimacy of the president-elect's win against their opponent. If these claims sound familiar, that's because they echo the sentiments of the crazed mob that stormed the Capitol on January 6th, 2021. Only this time they come from the left, rather than right-wing MAGA Republicans. The same group criticizing these right-wing Trump supporters for being crazy have become the crazy ones. But how did we lose the plot here? To understand this, we must go back to 2016, when Hillary Clinton seemed poised to win the presidential election against her opponent, Donald Trump. Pollsters forecasted that likely voters would choose Clinton over Trump in the critical swing states required to win, but we now know that wasn't the case. Trump appealed to rural voters without college degrees like never before, and pollsters who formerly expected this demographic of voters not to show up in droves were shocked to see how inaccurate their profile of a likely voter was. The blue wall fell, and Trump secured enough electoral college votes to win. This shocked Democrats, who were complacent and believed that they had the election in the bag the whole time. After all, how—
This is true. 2016, Hillary's campaign was a very, like, this isn't a campaign, this is a long victory walk into the White House vibe. It really did. Like, it wasn't like, oh, here's what I'm going to do for you. It was more like, when I am your president, we're going to have broken down so many barriers for women. And it was that kind of rhetoric. It was like, oh, it's already a given Hillary's going to win. Like, it's already, like, Trump's not going to win. But, like, when Hillary wins, let's talk about how big of a deal it's going to be for women. And that was the campaign. I'm not even joking. That was a lot of the campaign. And it did not sell people on Hillary. I mean, it did actually. It actually did. She won the popular vote, but not enough to win the swing states.
How could any reasonable person vote for Donald Trump? The future, predicted by experts, seemed certain to them when it wasn't. So, have left-leaning Democratic voters learned at all from this? Of course they haven't. The 2020 election went much better for Democrats, but Biden only won by tens of thousands of votes in the swing states, not hundreds of thousands. It was a decisive yet narrow win. The reality that Biden's victory was far from—
It is insane, by the way, that Biden could have won by such a narrow margin in the swing states while also winning by the largest margin ever and bringing out the largest turnout ever for a president in history, and by a lot. Like 10 million more votes than Trump, and millions more votes than have ever been cast for a presidential candidate in American history. Even after this election, the 2020 turnout mogs 2024. And so, yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Certain led to record high voter turnout. Trump denied losing the election, of course, claiming victory early on in the night before all the votes were counted. He spread baseless conspiracies about well-established and safe practices such as voting by mail and cast doubt on the accuracy of voting equipment, and people believed him. Convinced that they could change the election outcome, they stormed the Capitol while the Electoral College votes were being counted. Of course, nothing came of it. Their claims were baseless. Those on the left mocked this group who claimed the election was stolen, insulting their intelligence and questioning how anyone...
Would you say Kamala made the same mistake as Hillary? Honestly, no, Richland Geldenhuys. I would guess that's going to become a really popular talking point in future years, but it's just not true. And people will memory hole what actually happened. Harris campaigned pretty hard, and the further I get from the election, and the more that I stew on it, the more I feel that either the Dems were fucked and could never have won, or Biden was the only one that could have won. You got to remember, Biden did win the primary. He was incumbent, so it was basically just a non-existent primary, as people like to say, but he was the more popular decision. He was still popular enough among the party that he was the candidate going in before he was ousted, and Kamala took his place. It was very much like an ousting. It wasn't like it was a dirty move. Like what happened with Biden and what the Dem Party did to him was not like we're just it was very dirty. Like they ousted him. They straight up said like, we are taking you off of the ticket. We are revoking the entire DNC support for you as the candidate, and we are putting it behind Kamala 100 days out from the election. They straight up said, like, if you will not drop out, we will force you out. And they did that. Much to the thunderous applause of anti-Biden Dems, who were already not going to vote anyway, for the most part, because they were anti-Biden. And, let's be real. The people who voted for Biden were at least willing to like look into what he was getting done for the most part. It really feels like the majority of people who spent the entire last 4 years shitting on Biden probably didn't vote for him. Probably didn't vote at all. And so that's the vibe I get, at least. Maybe just vibes. And so, yeah, man, it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I genuinely, I think Kamala did a good job. I think either Biden would have been the one that could have taken it. If anyone could have won, I think it would have been Biden. But frankly, I think more likely than Biden being able to win the election, no one Dem could have. I think that Trump's rhetoric relied so much on the infallible stupidity of the American people. And when you bank on the stupidity of the American people, you win every time. And Trump banked on the American people's stupidity, and like a divorcing couple promised the kids that if they choose him, then they'll get ice cream for dinner and no bedtime every night. And they chose that, because of course they did.
One could be so foolish to believe in misinformation and conspiracies. They, of course, thought they were more intelligent and would never stoop to believing factually incorrect social media posts like those on the right, unwilling to learn from the mistakes of the Democratic Party in 2016, and too arrogant to think they'd believe anything as outlandish as the conspiracies proliferated by right-wing election deniers. Many on the left went into the voting booth believing that Harris would win. I don't have to guess why, as I have the pleasure of being on the side of social media that fed into these beliefs. I want to show you what was showing up on my TikTok For You feed before election night. Why?
Even I fell for this idea that, like, leading up towards the election, and maybe this was good rhetoric, but it wasn't long enough. I actually worry that this could be a case where the left actually did strike the nail on the head with the kind of rhetoric that could work well for it, but because the Kamala Harris campaign started 100 days out from the election, it just wasn't enough of a good thing, right? I think the whole, like, look how low energy Trump's rallies are. Look how low energy Trump is. Trump is struggling to get his own crowds to cheer. That rhetoric was actually really good, I think. I know it didn't win us the election, but there are other circumstances that I think would have lost us the election regardless. But that particular talking point, I think if Biden had used that talking point as much as Harris did in 2020, he might have won by even more votes. Legitimately. I think that was a really good strategy from the Dems, was like the jabbing and personal attacks at Trump's ego, and the talking about how Trump is losing steam with his own followers was a good talking point. I don't think it spurred people to not go out and vote. I don't think it did. I think that despite that good thing, there wasn't enough of it, and enough people were always going to turn out for Trump to swing it because of the rhetoric he was using and what he was promising.
Wildly optimistic predictions of a Harris win, with every swing state and, in one man's map, Florida and Texas turning blue. Of course, I wanted to believe these predictions were accurate, but my reaction to maps like that guy's was, oh honey, bless your heart, but that's not going to happen. These predictions did not align with the mainstream view of pollsters at the time, who said that either candidate had an equal chance of winning. Despite the mainstream view, TikToks latched onto outlier polls like Ann Seltzer's Iowa poll, showing Harris had a significant lead over Trump in a deep red state. They pointed to Alan Lichtman's prediction that Harris would win as well, as he accurately predicted both Trump and Biden's win in the 2 previous election cycles. We would later learn that the predictions of these storied pollsters and election forecasters were wrong. Trump won decisively, securing a victory in the Electoral College and the popular vote. In hindsight, was this really hard to predict? We all saw the rise.
The reality of it is no one should ever take the value or take value from pollsters and predictors of any kind for anything more than speculation on how the election could turn out as like personal preparedness for the results. Because you got to recognize, even then they could be wrong, but even if they're right, what does that change? You still have to actually come out and vote to make those results real. And so, like, I don't know. I think that, like, outside of very specific circumstances, trying to predict election results is useless for most people. Because what, are you trying to see if your candidate is super likely to win so you don't feel like you have to go out and vote? Are you seeing if your candidate's super unlikely to win so you feel like you don't have to go out and vote? Are you trying, like, what is the goal there? Outside of just personal feelings of less fear leading up to the election you already plan to vote on, what excuse, what reason would you want for that kind of predictive measure, except for to feel some level of like justification to feel like your vote won't matter because look how many people are voting for my candidate already. That is something I don't like about that predictive stuff. It feels like it's only there for people that want to be able to say, oh, look, everyone else has got it taken care of.
Of every ism and phobia on the internet, people felt increasingly comfortable with being bigoted in public. Moreover, people blamed Biden for every economic woe, and it was clear they'd gladly sacrifice the rights of marginalized people and their own rights for
No, Annie Parker, Kamala trying to appeal to Republicans wasn't even a thing. The closest to appealing to Republicans was the border bill, which was one of the most popular like policies that the Dems have put forward in our government, and the Republicans blocked it because it's so popular they wanted to make sure Trump could do it instead. No, that is not what lost Kamala the election. It was not like not appealing enough to the Dems. What lost Kamala the election is that Trump, through lies and deception, overpromised to the working class with hardcore working class rhetoric. And mind you, that is not a progressive thing. Being pro-working class is no longer the lefty thing in America anymore. Rhetorically, being pro-working class is what you have to be to win elections. And it's a matter of, can you spin people to be pro-working class in a lefty way or a righty way? Do they think that tariffs and destroying the IRS will be pro-working class? Or do they think that more taxes and more welfare spending and, you know, capping prices on things like rent or, you know, just trying to raise wages and drop unemployment, that these are good working class things? Which of these things do the American people think is best for the working class is the real debate as to what will win elections now.
For that matter, if gas prices went down by 15 cents a gallon. Despite these warning signs, many were shocked by the election results. I understand that it's hard for many to conceptualize why people would pick Donald Trump over Kamala Harris, considering that the majority of voters are pro-choice, would be disgusted by the sky-high prices that would result from tariffs, and don't want their health insurance to go away. It does not make any sense why the same group of voters whose policies align more closely with Harris's would vote for Trump. If you believe that people always make rational choices based on policy every election season, the results of the 2024 presidential election are likely surprising to you. Of course, people vote based on the vibes of a presidential candidate, not their actual plans for their presidency.
9 million fewer people voted? That's true, Winters, but that's not because Harris was so bad, it's because Biden was so good. Y'all can cope about how good Biden was and keep calling him trash as much as you like, but Obama didn't bring out nearly as many votes as he did. Trump didn't bring out nearly as many votes as he did. Harris didn't bring out nearly as many votes as he did. Nor did Trump again when he won a second time. Biden has brought out by far the most votes any president, left or right, has ever brought out. He was insanely popular. He was insanely well-liked. Tons of votes that went to Biden bled away from Harris and to Trump, we know because of the demographic shifts for votes. This was not an issue of Harris she didn't go left-wing enough and Biden was awful. Nope, it's an issue of, if anything, we should have stuck to Biden. He was way more popular than Harris. There's a reason he won the primaries over and over again, the multiple primaries he won, and Harris never did win a primary. She was not as popular as Biden. She never was. The idea that Harris was more popular than Biden was always a cope. I argued it from day one. When it was announced Biden was being ousted, I got nonstop shit for it, but I still, because I recognize, well, now Harris is our option versus Trump. I am fully behind her. I like her policies anyway. She's been VP. Do I think she has as good of a chance as Biden? No. And I said as much multiple times when Biden got ousted, that I think that she has a far less good chance of winning than Biden did. And people screamed and whined. Looking back at it, though, I kind of feel like you can see in hindsight, man, it might have been better to run with Biden. Might have been.
Or concepts thereof. To many, Trump passed the vibe check and Harris didn't.
Yep, that is perfect. Thank you for quoting me there for Lyric. Biden is the only guy who has beat Trump so far. That is exactly what I said. Why would we switch out what we know works, the only person who's ever been able to beat Donald Trump, when things are this tight, when things are projected to be this close of an election?
And I don't think her campaign could have done much to change the vibes surrounding her. In an elegant speech, Harris conceded the presidential election, but many of her supporters online were unwilling to give up the possibility of a victory against Trump. There were calls for recounts, as if counting the same ballots could flip multiple swing states, and whispers that the Harris campaign had some kind of trick up their sleeve to flip the election outcome.
It's all just vibes. Vosh, who was mad about Joe continuing to run and happy about Kamala running? Exactly. It's all just vibes. He wasn't wrong.
People became hyper-vigilant about clues they claimed to find in Kamala Harris's social media posts, which they thought alluded to her secret plan to defeat Trump. Most concerning of all, people began to circulate Donald Trump quotes where he declared he didn't need votes to win and his ties to Elon Musk as evidence that he hacked the election. The most ridiculous claim I have yet to hear is that the results of the election were beamed to Starlink satellites where they were tampered with at the hands of Musk. These conspiracies have been viewed millions of times, but are ridiculous, and I hope you'll agree with me on this. There is no evidence to support these claims. The fact-checking website Snopes outlines that federal certification requires that voting systems cannot be connected to the internet and that results are encrypted and therefore can't be easily tampered with. Snopes contacted election officials in all of the swing states who confirmed that election systems are not connected to satellite internet and any networks they used are closed. Despite these facts, people on TikTok continue to post videos implying that nefarious activities went down on election night and that Trump didn't play fair.
She's still trying to fight and still trying to ask a recount. It's still continuing on. They will then do the recount and all of that other stuff and see that it was fraud.
I knew there was something up. As soon as I saw Elon, he was being a little too annoying by coming out on the internet.
Just can't, so many people unwilling to accept the idea that the left could possibly have problems with its rhetoric and messaging, because, the left is correct, and so it's always going to win by default. You don't have to try to or do anything to make the left succeed. It's just going to by default because we're right. So many lefties think this way, and then this is what happens. They lose, and they're willing to huff the copium so hard they convince themselves they've truly won and that there must have been cheating to have lost. They can't introspect, recognize that the rhetoric that we use, the path that we took, the steps that we've taken, maybe going back a decade plus now, have led to this. They can't reflect. Instead, they have to deny. It's like I said before, it's like someone who's trying to get better in a game but blames every death on something that's not their fault and refuses to take accountability. So they don't learn from the mistakes and they don't get better. It's the same principle. Exact same principle.
I knew something was wrong.
There's all these videos, people who have way more proof and things that they're pointing to than I do, right? I'm just looking at the story of it all, and the story don't make sense.
These videos concern me, as they make claims eerily similar to those of Republicans who denied the outcome of the 2020 election. The comments under these videos indicate that many on the left have gone off the deep end. This commenter suggests that there's still time to change the election results and that Kamala Harris can decertify Trump's win. Do they not know that this has been tried before? I hope this segment of leftists does not grow too loud, as they completely delegitimize any claims that the Democratic Party is the party against a conspiratorial kind of thinking of the right. It's already clear that this is not the case, and no matter your education level or how smart you think you are not immune from believing in conspiracies. Rather than attributing belief in conspiracies to someone's allegedly low intelligence, maybe it's time to recognize the tactics used by those sowing the seeds of doubt in our electoral systems to protect.
They're telling people what they want to be true. It's as simple as that. The reason this stuff takes off is because people want it to be true. And so people tell them it is in a way that's like, whoa, something I want to be true is being told to me is true by someone who at least puts, like, there's some budget or effort put in to some, like, content talking about it. That's all it takes, and people will immediately jump on board. It has to be something they want to be true. Young men coming out of a rejection or a bad breakup want it to be true that women are these awful bitches who are just using them because that's how they feel. And they want other people to believe that is the case and to relate to them and to feel how they do, to talk how they do, to, to talk with and relate to. And that is how a community, like the incel community, gets born, for instance. Because they want it to be true on an emotional level.
Protect ourselves against misinformation. I hope you enjoyed this video and took it to heart, and that you're having a better week, as last one was pretty rough. Bye-bye.
True! Thank you, Robert Tolpe, for a fantastic, fantastic video. I really do love their content. It's really top tier. I highly recommend you go check out this channel. It's fantastic. It's great. Highly underrated, as most progressive content is on YouTube. And hey, if you liked this video and you liked Robert Tolpe's, consider dropping a like. It really does help a lot. Every single thumbs up on my videos and my streams is like telling YouTube to, it's like casting a blue ballot, telling YouTube to push my content in the algorithm to more people so that YouTube actually knows what to do, whenever I go live, which is push it out to more people. Get it in front of people who might be right-leaning. Maybe they have their minds changed. It would be very much appreciated if you did that. Commenting also helps, and subscribing and ringing the bell icon so YouTube tells you when I go live or upload a new video. You can also follow my social medias linked down below in the description if you haven't already, including my fan Discord, which just in a little bit after stream today, I'm going to be hosting a watch party of the new episode of From. Fantastic show I've gotten so many people in my Discord addicted to. Like, legitimately, it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. Everyone I show it to gets addicted. It's awesome. And then we're going to be watching some more The Walking Dead Season 2. Continuing a little further in, it's going to be a fun time. I hope to see all of you guys there, of course. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, to help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xanderhall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or even buying merch, the Streamlabs link down below. Though regardless of how you support my content, thank you so much for watching as always, and have a good one. Yeah, for those that don't know, my website, or my Discord, if you want to watch From with us, is in the description of my stream and my videos. So join the Discord. We saw it earlier. Used it in another video. Impossible to find the clip on its own. Do you guys realize how fucking bad that is? Zan, are you doomering over not being able to find a clip? Yes, Stella, and not over the fact that I'm frustrated over not being able to find it, over the fact that it should terrify you I can't find it. That should scare the fuck out of you. That info, that proof, the evidence that he said that is buried. That you have to find some guy's video where he found it and used it, clip that out, and maybe you've got it contained. You've got it still. You found it. You've got it. If you know that. Otherwise, you will not find this video. This extremely important video to make an extremely important point. No one who wants to find it can find it. Did you find it, Perry Icefire? Because I just spent like fucking 5 minutes looking and I'm tired already. Nope. Is this it?
There's questions swirling about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. right now and what role...
But it's not, is it? Oh, it's not. It's coverage. It's coverage. It's always coverage, and not even of the clip. It's coverage and not even of the clip, Perry Icefire. At 47 seconds, it's in there? All right. I'll check. I skimmed through it and didn't see it.
swirling about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. right
Awful UI. 47 seconds. Let's see. There's no timestamps.
clinical trial. This one, you're going to be tracking.
Nope. Nope, that's not the clip. No, wait, Zan, 30 seconds. This is the third time I'm opening your link after closing it now, Perry Icefire.
There are questions swirling about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. right now. Years, leaving people who work in...
I've never been in...
Once again, no, that is not the clip, Perry Icefire. I saw the clip, and I had to close it. Like I said, I spent 5 minutes scrolling through images, videos, and text results. It did not come up. The video is gone. Long buried. We may never, ever find it. In future conversations, debates, whatever it may be, if I ever need to make the point RFK is a vaccine denier and they say, show me proof, guess what? I will not be able to find proof. Does it exist? Yes. Absolutely. Will it be findable? Certainly findable fast enough to be able to bring up as evidence in a debate? Nope. This kind of shit should be illegal? What's illegal? Is it illegal that the left as a community is half-assed about like pushing shit around? Isn't it on a podcast? Yes. Why is the clip not anywhere on the internet? I'm on result page 6 of Google. Just use Legal Eagle's video then? It's so sloppy if I do, bro. It's so sloppy. I guess we have to. We have to use the Legal Eagle video. That right there, guys. If you're ever wondering, why is the left failing? Everyone knows who Big Red is. If I look... Let me show you something. Triggered glasses. I looked up triggered glasses. And do you want to know what came up? The second result. Exactly what we're all thinking of. This face of a random-ass person who wasn't even triggered has been immortalized in our history and can be found in seconds. Easy. This is the biggest failure of the online left. That actual dirt, quotes, word-for-word quotes from our leadership can't be found because it's just, no one's posting it, no one's retweeting it, no one's liking it or commenting on it, and so it's nowhere to be found. And if it's ever needed for an important conversation, good luck. No one's made sure it's available out there for you. That is a massive L for us. Zan, I was more so thinking of a pair of glasses edited to have those angry eyebrows, not that image. Sure, but the fact that all I had to look up was triggered glasses and the exact image I was thinking of came up, it really does go to show, like, how much the right has ensured that even, like, their straw men of us are immortalized and easy to find. Meanwhile, the most important info that the left could need at a moment's notice, it's buried because no one's posting it. And the people who are posting it aren't getting likes or retweets or comments or whatever the platform equivalent is. And that's a cultural problem with the left. And this is something I've been saying for a long time now, that we need to make all the shit the right does unforgettable. Exactly, the MILF Slayer. Exactly. But what that takes is having cultural pull, overwhelming cultural pull that the left refuses to engage enough to have. That's the problem. That's the problem. Let's see if I can bring up that Legal Eagle video then. Let's see if we can just bring up the Legal Eagle video. All right.
Public health, but that kid said he will
safe and effective
vaccines.
There's no
one-on-one RFK CNN vaccines.
So my son.
Oh, it's so gone forever. All right, yep, we have to use the legal video, dude. Here.
I think some of the live.
Oh, you found it. Oh, thank you. Oh my God, Annie Parker, you are goated. Oh, we finally found it. Oh, fuck, thank you. I was going to have a goddamn aneurysm. Holy shit. I hope you guys know. I hope you know, Annie Parker, how helpful that is. And I hope that the left viewers, the left-leaning viewers here know how absolutely fucked we are if that continues to be a problem for us. I want you to imagine that I was in a debate just then. Legitimately, imagine I was in a debate just then, one-on-one debate, massive audience, big right-wing figure, Ben Shapiro. And I said, RFK is a vaccine denier. He hates vaccines. He's anti-vax. And Ben Shapiro was like, oh, really? Give me one clip of him saying that. Give me one bit of evidence where RFK has said that he's anti-vaccine. Give me one clip. Give me one piece of evidence. And I go to find it. Can you guys kind of imagine how bad that would be if it was that hard to find the clip that or the evidence that is necessary in the moment then in a debate, how quickly the conservative would win that debate? Because if you're a progressive, there is so much information that should be easily Googleable to fact check the claims right-wingers make, and yet it's far harder than it should be. Part of it is Google's fault. A lot of it is our fault. What comes up first when you Google things is largely a result of who is clicking what. We're not out there clicking things. We're not clicking thumbs ups. We're not clicking comment buttons. We're not hitting subscribe buttons. We're not engaging. We're not spending hours online and influencing culture. You know who? There are parts of the left doing that, and that's Hassan's sphere, but that's not for the best. But yeah, it's a massive problem. It's actually really, really worrying. The video is over a year old, so it's why Google didn't bother to put it on the first page. Fair, but also the clip. The clip. What I'm asking you is, why is that clip in the Legal Eagle video not everywhere? Like, when I search RFK anti-vax clip, why is there not like a Twitter video that comes up like at the very top result, or like one of the top results, or somewhere in the results, and it's that clip? That's insane to me, guys. Don't argue with me about this. This is an absolutely massive flaw with the left. You cannot deny it, and this is absolutely a case of it. It's because it's on CNN, it doesn't occur to people to clip chimp CNN, I guess? Well, it's Lex Friedman, actually. It's Lex Friedman, so I guess not a lot of lefties are watching Lex Friedman, perhaps. That could partially be it, I suppose. 1 sec.
Virus vaccines are probably...
Yeah. All right.
And we're even a very big one. And that's the problem.
All right. Let's do this, guys. Whew. All right, you all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Well, guys, we are now going to have an anti-vaxxer in charge of the food and medicine regulations of the United States. And if you don't believe me, if you're like a Trump supporter and you're like, nah, our boy Trump would never do something like that. Well, RFK, the brainworm man who is now appointed by Trump to be in charge of all that, had an interview with Lex Friedman about a year ago. And this is what he had to say about vaccines.
You've talked about that the media slanders you by calling you an anti-vaxxer. And you've said that you're not anti-vaccine, you're pro-safe vaccine. Difficult question. Can you name any vaccines that you think are good?
I think some of the live virus vaccines are probably averting more problems than they're causing. There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
Those are big words. What about the polio? Can we talk about the?
Well, here's the problem.
Yes.
Here's the problem.
The problem is the fact you have a brainworm that ate part of your brain, then died inside of there, and is still there. And I'm not saying this as a joke. It's completely real. Now, if you think I'm just being hysterical or something, let me read you a little story. Mother and nurse Lydia Green believed RFK Jr.'s claims about opposing vaccines and didn't vaccinate her children. Now she is a vaccine proponent and tells CNN Brianna Kalar about her journey. Yeah. You can guess why she is now an advocate for vaccines. All right. Whew. Good short. Good memes. That should hopefully turn out as a pretty good YouTube short. Man, I am really worried. I hope that the left is able to lock in the coming years, dude. Like, really hard. Like, it's gonna have to be a hard locking in, okay? Like, because we're so not locked in right now. We need to be, like, so much more locked in. Like, in every way. Like, down to, like, the, like, normal random posters frequently clipping and posting the most out-of-pocket things said by popular conservative pundits and denoting what they said with clear text so it's easy to Google. Because that's so valuable. Have you ever noticed that, like, the right with their tweets and their posts, a lot of the time it's almost incomprehensible, but there's so many keywords in there that, let's say a chud wants to make, like, an argument for something. If they want to bring up some biased link to cite as, like, part of their worldview, they could find it in 2 seconds, you know? Anyway. That just worries me. I hope the left is able to turn the tide on that. And that's, like, a whole separate thing from, like, content creation or anything. It's, like, just generally, like, just having more presence online. Like in general. Yeah, RFK Jr. is, like, legitimately falling apart. I hate him, and I am terrified of what is going to happen with him in any position of power now of our federal government. Oh, God. Anyway, guys. What's wrong with his voice? He's, like, literally just not in a... Like, he's dying. He's a guy who is, like, very anti-science and anti-health and medicine, who is old, and so it's really catching up to him that he's anti-health and medicine, and Trump decided he'd be a good person to put in charge of that stuff. So, yeah, it's not great. Spasmodic something? Yeah, he's just cooked. He's just cooked. That's it. His medical condition is that he's cooked. Happy to help, Zan. You look so stressed, Sag. Thank you. I appreciate it. I should honestly give you a role for that. Remind me to do that next stream, Annie Parker. Listen, with all that said, if you guys enjoyed this entire stream, make sure you leave a like and you subscribe and you ring the bell icon to turn on notifications if you guys have not done so already. Here's where we're going to be wrapping things up for the night. Have you heard about Tanky's mad that Twitch is now banning the term Zionist? That goes crazy. That's awesome. Anyway, with that said, guys, here's where I'm ending stream for the day. But if you want to hang out with Yazan some more, it is not over. In just a few moments, I'm going to be starting a watch party in my Discord server in the Zan's Theater chat. So you'll have a good few minutes to arrive, get in there, hang out for a little bit. I'm going to be posting an announcement, like starting the watch party, and or announcing the watch party is starting. And then we're going to start it. And we're going to have a good time. So hop into the Xander's Theater VC in my Discord server. If you don't know where that is, go into my description, the description of the stream down below, click on Show More, and click the link. And if you have a Discord account, or if you don't, you can make a Discord account, and then you can join the server through that and join us in the watch party. We're going to be watching the newest episode of From and some more Walking Dead. It's going to be a great time. You don't have to be caught up or know these shows or even like the shows to have fun. Trust me. The watch parties are just a great time regardless. I hope to see a lot of you there. And yeah, with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching today, and have a good one. I hope to see you again on my next stream, though. Tomorrow is my day off. I hope to see you here the day after tomorrow on my next one. Bye, everybody. Doo-doo fart.